Told you Bray was going to feud with Strowman. Told you XPW would be done in 2 years. Didn't think it would be because of this. Told you Wednesday NXT was going to beat AEW in the ratings this week by a hair. Got to listen to Don Tony. What's going on, everybody? Hey, how you doing? It's Friday night. Figured let's just goof around. It is the Don Tony Show. And April 10th, 2020. What's going on, everybody? Wearing a goofy shirt because we broke 9,000 and I had a few people out there like, oh, you got to wear something ridiculously stupid tonight. So I said, all right, you know what? And, you know, the hair, the shades, the shirt, no jeans. I have shorts on, but we'll have fun. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Tell you, what a difference 2 days makes. Hulk Hogan talking about coronavirus and God. Adam Copeland basically doing this to all of the paid fans out there who criticized his match. Ronda Rousey doing this as well. But I guess like the biggest news. Now, see, this is the good thing about the Don Tony Show Friday. You know, we get to sit back, relax, have a little bit of fun, talk a little SmackDown, some news, some other shit. Doesn't always have to be just wrestling stuff. And I'm actually going to be messing around with a new little function tonight. And it's something where I might be able to, be able to cue things like that. You see, I am still new to YouTube, and there's a lot of things that I don't know how to do yet, but apparently there's ways where you could turn around and you could actually like post little things without putting alerts on. I still have to figure out how to like to do the super chat and stuff like that, but you know, I'm getting there. You know, we'll have some fun. And how do I take this thing off the screen? That's the big question. Oh yeah, you just do this. But yeah, so, you know, little by little, I'll be tweaking things, adding it. We'll start taking calls in the very near future. No, the shirt will not go on the prize wall. But what do you guys want to talk about first? You want to talk about SmackDown tonight? You want to talk about XPW, Edge, Ronda Rousey, Hulk Hogan? I'll give it up to you. For everybody tuning in live right now, I'll let you decide. What should I get into first? You know, you gotta speak, you know, super fast. You know, Andre, vamos, let's go. You know, by the way, I gotta let everybody know my girlfriend, my fiance's brother, got hit with coronavirus. Found out today he was having some real bad bronchial issues. He's married with kids, and he was being a little bit careless. So they admitted him to I think like NYU. Isn't NYU a college? Some New York hospital tonight. He's actually doing pretty well. He's young. He's in his early 50s, so they're not too concerned, but since he lives with his wife and kids, and his kids are young, they're under 10 years old, you know, they're taking all the precautions anyway. So, but yeah. You know, I particularly, you know, never liked the guy all that much, you know, but I don't want to see anybody sick. So, you know, my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, absolutely. But, so anyway, what should we open up with tonight? You want to talk about XFL? Should we bring up XFL and just get it out of the way? You know, you go on my Twitter, and you know, we'll talk about the Revival too. The Revival. Suddenly, everybody wants to talk about the Revival. Should we talk about the Revival first? Let's talk about the Revival first, because I don't even have to get too much news, you know, to get all. Actually, the only thing I do want to pull up about the Revival is their new names, because we definitely need to talk about that. But here's the deal. I always say this to everybody out there, and it's funny because if you go to Wayback Machine, that's where you actually bust people. But there's a couple of people that I know, that you know as well, that are very, how do I say it on Twitter? They're very bipolarish. And, you know, they'll make fun of people, rip them for years and years and years. And then because that person now has a little bit of popularity to them, they do a fucking 180. And the funny thing is that you go check I always do advanced Twitter searches. For some people out there, if I want a good chuckle, I do an advanced Twitter search. When somebody says, oh, I've always been a fan of this person, you do an advanced Twitter search. You don't bring any attention to it. And they usually leave their old tweets up there. And you see bipolar, 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 rip, rip, make fun of, rip, rip, make fun of, rip, rip, make fun of. And now because the person's popular, praise, 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 praise. So I had some fun today. I decided, let me look up a couple of people's history talking about the Revival, because not everybody's the sharpest knife in the drawer. Oh, let me delete these old tweets so I don't have a track record of saying some of the things I want to say. But, look, I'm going to just tell it like it is. You do an advanced Twitter search about yours truly. It was January of, I think, 2019. I said that the Revival, unfortunately, is not over with the WWE fans because bland is not entertaining. And I said, don't be surprised if they put the Revival in comedy skits. Sure enough, a few months later, we got the stuff with the Usos and the bathroom stuff, the shower, and they tried to do comedy with the Revival. They tried to give them a personality. It didn't work. All right. The Revival are talented as fuck. But anybody out there, seriously, that is suddenly on this gigantic Revival bandwagon, thinking that, oh my God, it's going to be epic to see them versus the Young Bucks. Why? It's flips versus fists. You never saw crazy psychology. Yes, I will admit this. You will hear them more on the microphone outside of WWE, and you'll probably say, yeah, they have pretty good mic skills. I wonder why WWE didn't capitalize on it. But honestly, everybody, the Revival never really gained momentum when they went to the main roster. I know they were very good in NXT. I know the night after WrestleMania, they got the nice pop. And, shout out to Dalvin Brown. We are going to talk, Dalvin. Definitely going to talk. 1 year ago this week, got to meet you, Jason, hung out with Soup in person, a lot of you, and it was awesome, man. It was a blast. It was 1 year ago today that we actually had that. So I'm enjoying it, and I am going to upload the video on YouTube so everybody could see it, about an hour from last year. But that was awesome, man. I look forward to doing that again. So much love, absolutely. But getting back to the Revival, the Revival never caught fire on the main roster. NXT, they were pretty damn good, but I've said this for years. I don't think people ever really understood how small the NXT fan base actually was, the viewership. I mean, they went to mainstream television. Sure, they're splitting the viewers with AEW, but, you just think about the WWE network, and their viewership was tiny. You cannot compare work in NXT to the WWE universe. Now, I honestly, I saw a lot of people online, God bless you, looking for the little hand jobs because everybody's home, trying to get a little conversation, making jokes, acting nasty, flipping out, flips and verbal fists. That's what's going on online. And I saw this nonsense of people bringing up, oh my God, can you imagine if Jim Cornette managed a Revival in AEW? Not for nothing, man, but Jim Cornette has said so much nasty shit about AEW. AEW is a tight-knit family. And they're not going to bring in anybody that they label as toxic. Does anybody fucking forget that Jim Cornette is no longer in NWA because of the bucket of chicken comment? If anything, Jim Cornette should go back to NWA. If anything, the Revival should go to NWA. They'd be a perfect fit in NWA. No nonsense, wrestling, old school. Come on, man. You got the NWA old school logos, even though I don't like their current theme. They should have stuck with Into the Fire. But the Revival is a perfect fit for NWA. I don't care if the Young Bucks said one day we will fight the Revival. Does anybody in their right mind, and I'm not shitting on the Revival, they are talented, no question. But does anybody in their right mind think that suddenly the Revival are going to be a ratings draw in AEW? The only reason why there would be a ratings draw is because people would be curious to see if they get on the mic and trash WWE. And if they have a match with the Young Bucks, the fuck you gonna do? When the Young Bucks are doing all these crazy flips and all this other shit, and the Revival are just staying on their feet because it's all fists and no flips. Come on, seriously. You know, I know on paper it sounds like, oh, the Revival are not being used right. They'll go to AEW and they'll be utilized the right way. What's the definition of that? So the idea of, what about the idea of bringing Jim Cornette into AEW and, you know, with all the stuff that he said, man, that would be an interesting storyline, and especially what he said about the elite and blah, 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 blah. The guy is toxic to AEW. It's Jim Cornette and AEW, seriously, are people that bored online to actually start that and actually think that that's a possibility? You fucking kidding me? Come on, man. You know, you cannot take the advice of people online that can't even collect unemployment or pandemic unemployment insurance because their greatest job might have been fucking delivering newspapers. Somebody with that low of an education, I don't fucking listen to. You know, this is a business at the end of the day. It's the entertainment business. That's what it is. And these people online, oh, wouldn't this be epic? Yeah, for maybe a very small slither of social media, but overall, you know, nobody fucking invested crazy time on the Revival. Oh, okay, Dash Wilder. Brian Long says John Draper suggested that. Like I said, I don't fucking go screen everybody's social media account and then say, oh, this person said what I want to criticize, so I can't. I'm talking about the overall social media. I'm talking about people with blue check marks. I'm not going to name any individual names, but there's somebody that actually does a little work for the WWE indirectly that was bringing up all night long about Cornette going to AEW. So, you know, nice try, Brian, but, you know, I speak my mind, and I have just as much of a right to say that that is a fucking stupid, dumb idea, you know, than someone saying that that's a great idea. It is a stupid idea. If anything, they should make amends with Jim Cornette and NWA and bring the Revival to NWA because they would fit in perfectly. Dash Wilder, no offense, and I don't mean this to be a jerk. If any of you, 95% of you, walk down the street and Dash Wilder was walking the other way, no mask blocking half of his face, so then I'm talking about no coronavirus. If he was walking the other way down the street and you were walking down the street, there ain't no goddamn way that more than 5 of you out of 100 say, yo, that's Dash Wilder. Dash Wilder, honestly, I know the Revival right now, everybody thinks because WWE let them go that they are money now and they can revive their careers in this. And in the end, honestly, Dawson has got to go out on his own. If anything, I want to see Dawson team up with maybe Sean Spears. Dash Wilder, oh, it's cool what he did for Bret Hart. That's, you know, he's talented. But you look at him. Tell me what about Dash Wilder that it says superstar. It doesn't. Together right now, you know, this kind of feels like the Highlanders. The Revival have much more talent than the Highlanders. But I won't remember when the Highlanders first left. People like, oh my God, could you imagine them here? Maybe they really can go to TNA and this and that. I remember the fucking, what was that other tag team in WWE that time? The ones that danced. So somebody's got to remember. Oh my God, I'm drawing a fucking, not Deuce and Domino. It was the Heartthrobs. Remember the Heartthrobs when they first left? I was doing hotlines back then. Oh my God, the Heartthrobs and the indie circuit. Could you imagine what they're gonna do? No. Right now, when indie shows can have wrestling again, the Revival will be part of the advertisement. But if any indie fed out there tries to put the Revival right smack in the center of the billboard, thinking that they are the highlight of the night, they're in for a rude fucking awakening. And again, it's nothing personal against them, but we're in an entertainment world. All right. People want to see entertainment, not just pure 4.5-star wrestling matches. And when they have very little charisma, you know, old school is great to a certain extent, but when you're fucking bland and you don't stand out and you don't have that connection with the crowd, you're going to have a very difficult time with it. So you go to NWA, no nonsense. We came here to fight, you know, blah, 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 you know, just wearing tights and shorts and this and that. Old school fits like a glove. Does anything about AEW feels like it fits in with the Revival? Not even close. Not even close. And they now have new names. I know part of this I think they were applying for trademarks for, but Dash Wilder is now Cash Wheeler. Cash Wheeler? That sounds like a WCW jobber, the gambler. Cash Wheeler. Cash Wheeler. Scott Dawson is now Dax Hardwood. I mean, God bless them. Good luck to them. They got their full release from WWE, so they can go wherever they want. Just not right now because of coronavirus. They don't have any 90-day no-compete clause, and I truly wish them well. I swear to God, I wish them well. But in all reality, though, there's not much money there. I mean, anybody out there, you know, they would have to have a tremendous transformation because this bland, no flips, just fists. Give me another tag team that is no flips, just fist, straight up, you know, no, part of, you know, the catchphrase, no gimmicks needed. You'd show me another example of a team like that. What are you going to say to me? The Butcher and the Blade? Even the Butcher and the Blade have a little bit of a gimmick with it. They got a hot piece of ass as a valet. You know, you got one guy wearing a fucking, you know, like a head mask, like he's in some type of, you know what I mean? So anyway, I wish them well, but honestly, I say it was amazing how many people, like I said, do I want to tweet or do I want to eat? You know, just because you're home because of coronavirus doesn't mean you should just sit on social media and just talk about the fucking same shit over and over and over again. My God, make an attempt to do something. Do an online class. Clean your fucking house. Get your ass in shape. Fucking bond with your family. There are 10,000 things more to do than sit on Twitter and talk about the Revival all day long. And the funny thing is I saw so many people talking about the Revival and AEW, and these are the same people that rip AEW every fucking week, over and over. And that's another thing. Adam DeMoy, I'm glad you said that. Glad you said that. The same people that say AEW takes all of WWE's castaways. They're TNA all over again. And now these same fucking people that have been saying that about, oh, look, they all former WWE guys they're bringing in. Look at Hardy and Lee and Hager. And now all of a sudden, it's awesome to bring in the Revival? Get the fuck out of here. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. So, yeah, the mateless, dateless. You know, I look, everybody has a right to say their opinions on social media, but man, I mean, I'd stay away from these conversations online. They're just dopey. It turns my mind into mush. Hey, it turns your mind into mush. So, but good luck to them. But honestly, Scott Dawson has a future. And it's not just because he's got a little bit of sideburns and the facial hair and he reminds me of Arn Anderson, which I've been saying forever. But Dash Wilder, I'm sorry, man. You know, he better fucking do some type of transformation to his character. All of a sudden go out and cut a promo where people are like, I mean, other than that, like I said, 95 out of 100 of you, if you were walking down the street or in the mall or at Starbucks and he was standing right fucking next to you, the closest you would get to interacting with him, you'd be like, hey, could you pass me a napkin? You know, could you give me a straw? You know, nobody's going to fucking recognize that guy. So I hope they do well. And I hope they sign with NWA. I really do. they would be a better fit in NWA than AEW. It's not even close. This is something that people need to be very careful of. And this goes out to AEW fans, because I am an AEW fan. I'll criticize them when needed, but let's not get into this habit. When someone is not happy with their employment in WWE, you should not immediately want to see them in AEW simply because they'll get a little bit of revenge on WWE or make a snide remark or do some satire like Brody Lee did a little bit with the Vince McMahon stuff. And didn't I tell all of you, Brody Lee, didn't I just do this rant 2 weeks in a row? That it's not all just about Vince McMahon. He is drunk with power, a boss that it's going to his head. It's not rocket science. Cody did an interview, and guess what he said? It's not all about Vince McMahon. It's drunk with power. It's not rocket science, but you should not want every wrestler who leaves WWE that is disgruntled. You should not immediately fantasize that they should be in AEW, for the simple reason that if your entertainment is fantasizing the Revival getting on the microphone and trashing WWE, your priorities are all out of whack. You sit back and look at the Revival's career and what they do and what they're all about. They fit in NWA. They do not fit in AEW. I don't care if they were fucking Matt Jackson's godfather. I don't care if they're the brother of one of the wives. I don't care if they want to work in the offices. They're a better fit in NWA than AEW. My opinion. Just my opinion. Talk a little bit about SmackDown. By the way, I enjoyed the back and forth, Mr. Krabs, with the Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. Look, the minute we heard Braun Strowman getting that shot with Goldberg, my pay-per-view predictions, I said Braun is going to beat Goldberg, and then Bray is going to feud with Braun. Because when the night that Goldberg beat Bray Wyatt at Saudi Arabia, I said that my future thinking is that the fans will be irate at Goldberg for beating The Fiend. So they would probably cheer Roman Reigns, who shows up to work every day, and Roman Reigns will beat Goldberg for the heavyweight title. I also said by doing this, Bray Wyatt does not have to lose at WrestleMania. He gets his win back from John Cena. Roman Reigns gets the gold from Goldberg, and then Bray Wyatt starts a feud with Roman Reigns. When they obviously had to change the program because Roman Reigns was not going to compete, I said last week with the predictions, they're going to do the same thing, but with Braun Strowman. That's exactly what they did. It's a perfect storyline. It's an absolute perfect storyline. And we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Carmella making an appearance. Yeah, I know a lot of people. See, this goes back to what I said. Mr. Krebs asks, he thought Carmella was in quarantine for a while. Do you remember what I said on one of the shows about 2 weeks ago? And again, sometimes I got to remind people because there's so many podcasts out there that you kind of like forget like who says what. And Adam, I'm going to get into what you said in a little bit about Cody and Triple H. But I had brought up to everyone, when you hear rumors of Dana Brooke, see, nobody thought about Dana Brooke tonight. Remember Dana Brooke was pulled from that five-way, which ended up being a five-way? Dana Brooke was pulled. Oh, my God, she's out of quarantine in 3 days? 4 days? Holy shit. That's why I said a week or so ago, just because Rey Mysterio is not on Mania, just because Dana Brooke is pulled from Mania, just because Carmella is home, just because Paige is home, just because all these people are home, do not assume that they have coronavirus. Some people are staying home out of fear. Some people wanted to wait home to make sure they didn't have any symptoms. And you see what happened? Everybody focused on Carmella tonight. Oh my God, I thought she was in quarantine. She was doing the fucking koala thing with Corey Graves and blah, 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 blah. And look, she shows up. Wait, what happened? You know, would she take hydroxychloroquine or whatever the fuck the shit is and 10 Z-Packs? 4 days later, Dana Brooke, what happened? Where's all the geniuses? Oh, Dana Brooke was polled, coronavirus. You know, Carmella's staying at home, coronavirus. You know, this is why you cannot jump the gun and assume these things. Think of all of the goofs for the last 2 or 3 weeks that were trying to convince you. Just like Mr. Krabs and all this stuff. Was it the koala thing? What's this deal that's going on online? Benjamin has no idea what it is. There was these videos going around where like girls were like climbing all over like their boyfriend or husband's bodies. I think it's like koala bears climbing a tree. I mean, you know, the only reason why I thought the Carmella Corey Graves one was funny is because it looked like she accidentally grabbed his nuts for a second. The koala challenge. Seriously. I want to see some of these goofy podcasters that won't show their faces. I want them to do the koala challenge. Seriously. I mean, I'd love to see that. I paved to see that. Man, talk about super chat. I'll fucking empty my bank account to see them do that. But Dario says I look like a chubby aged Tony Starks. Yeah, I think so. You know, hey, I'm down to 249, 248 actually as of today. You know, much different than, 365. So, I'm getting there. You know, the chest I actually shaved a little before. That's why it's a little red. At least I don't have 3 tits now and they're sagging and stuff I still got a lot of weight to lose. I'm still on keto. Not doing bad. But, so Carmella's back. Dana Brooke is back. And all the goofs that thought they had coronavirus all hiding tonight. Now, honestly, Carmella and Dana Brooke taking on Sasha and Bayley. Who the fuck wants to see that? Seriously. This is just because, obviously, with everything that's going on with coronavirus, the roster is a lot more limited than what is before. Not only that, this is something that people may have forgot that I said about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that you're going to see some people where they bring in 5, 6, 8 people and they send home 5, 6, 8 people. Remember when I said that they're going to rotate people? That's what they did. Dana Brooke, Carmella, this week, stay home. Next week, we'll bring you in. You see Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro? You think that this was recorded after Mania? You think it was recorded the same? That was recorded a week before. So when you see Cesaro, Braun, Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, Gulak, what they're doing is they recorded a whole splurge of matches between these guys. And then the following week, we'll bring in blah, blah, Miss blah, 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 and we'll do a whole surge of matches there. Tamina, all of a sudden, Tamina's around. They recorded fucking 3 skits and 3 matches with her. And now she's back home, anticipating Dark Side of the Ring, brother. So that's what's going on. And when you blend a little bit together, it kind of feels like the whole roster is there when they're not. Next week, when Corey Graves and Michael Cole make it a prediction or mysteriously disappeared, they might actually be there still for maybe 1 match, but you're going to see magically they're not at ringside anymore. They're going to splice little things and put them together. The whole storyline of Bayley and Sasha Banks, that's already been recorded to go many steps up that storyline ladder. So that's the deal. So Brandon Jones says, I declare war against yours truly. Fine. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. So you got a show? I'll check it out. I'll plug it. Brandon Jones, supposedly good people, though. Sorry for people. You want a war? You want a war? You got one. Come on, you got to give me a little credit. Wednesday, talking about ratings. I said, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain. If I get it wrong, I won't talk about it. But if I get it right, I get to brag. I said NXT is going to beat AEW in the ratings by a hair. Now, I was off about 60,000 viewers, but I can't find one podcaster from Wednesday who predicted that NXT was going to win in the ratings. Can I get a little bit of credit here? Seriously. I mean, I think NXT would have banged out a much better rating if we didn't have so many commercial breaks in that main event. Too many fucking commercial breaks, in my opinion. Brian Long says he'll be back when the bragging is done. No, the bragging is done. But, you know, I mean, it just felt like, you know, there's a little bit of a shift as far as interest goes. Now, this is something that everybody should pay attention to. Oh, you know what? And I want to mention this too. Shout out to Kevin Falk, because Kevin actually picked up on it. And, you know, when I was going to get into the matches, but you know what? I don't like doing full-blown SmackDown recap from beginning to end. We mix things as we go along. We already talked about Dana Brooke and Carmella challenging for the tag titles. We already talked about a few other things. We'll talk about Braun and Nakamura and all this other stuff. But tonight we had Sheamus beat Cal Bloom in 1 minute. And shout out to Kevin. That is Wayne Bloom's son. So that pretty cool. I tell you, he's got a nice physique to him. You know, he got destroyed by Sheamus in a minute, but hey, you know, it was nice to see him, because people may remember, I'd say about a year ago, there was a little bit of a buzz that Wayne Bloom's son, you know, with the wrestling and everything. So we actually got to see him on SmackDown. So, you know, it was only 1 minute, but hey, you know, it is what it is. You know, people don't realize that back in the day, some of the best wrestlers you see on TV now in all different federations, they played security guards. Look at Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa played Muhammad Hassan's attorney when the whole thing went down with the controversy with beheading The Undertaker. He was Muhammad Hassan's attorney. I wonder how many people that still don't even know that. Tommaso Ciampa. So, you know, that's kind of high profile if you think about it. But you have some wrestlers that play security guards. They play druids. You know, I don't think down the line we'll have a future Hall of Famer that was, hey, I was a creeper. I was a creeper in AEW. I was a creeper. So, anyway, talk about SmackDown a little bit more since we're on the topic. You know, Braun Strowman having the match against Nakamura, you know, knock, who there? Some who, some dumb fuck. You know, it was filler. It was what it was. You know, this is just to get by another week with Braun Strowman as champion. I tell you, I was a little bit surprised that WWE did not spend more time recapping WrestleMania. You know, I don't mind Sheamus beating Cal Bloom on TV today, but you would think that maybe we see highlights of a little bit more. I know we got the highlights of Morrison, you know, and by the way, interesting, right? Morrison wrestles alone. Now next week, suddenly, now they may do a little swerve with maybe Miz doesn't perform next week. Now in storyline, if Miz is not cleared, why is he being forced in a match? You know? So if he does wrestle, what happened to Miz? He was pulled from Mania. You see what WWE's doing. Told everybody 2-3 weeks ago. They're rotating. But they put things together to try to play it off that the roster is all together. When you see a backstage segment with some people, they're not even there the same night as some other people that you're watching on SmackDown or on Raw. So give WWE credit for seamlessly putting some of this together. But let me bring this up because this is a pretty big deal. There's a lot of reports that next week WWE is going to be taping Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in Florida. And they're going to be taping numerous weeks of episodes. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say. What the fuck happened with coronavirus and the restrictions in Florida? I don't have the link in front of me, but you might want to look up DeSantis, the governor of Florida. Look up the executive order or whatever the fuck he did about a week ago. If you actually read this garbage, all right, people in the news media that have nothing to do with pro wrestling were talking about it and saying, like, you know, it seems like DeSantis does not want to shut down the businesses. In fact, I think churches can be open in Florida this weekend for Easter. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I think that that they can. And the thing is that Florida, you know, DeSantis issued the original executive order, and people thought, that's it. WWE, AEW, they're fucked. That's over. They're done. And then all of a sudden, like a week later, he makes another one that this kind of overrides the first one. And it kind of is like done, but it's up to the local governments and the local towns and the mayors to make a decision of what they want to do in their area and this and that. This motherfucker does not want Florida's economy to go in a crapper for even a week. This guy is really trying to walk the tightrope with this. And I don't like it. I don't like it. And that is the reason why WWE is allowed to go back to the Performance Center and actually record more wrestling. Because DeSantis did this order that is based on certain areas. Now, maybe something happens and they can't do it inside the Performance Center. But Florida right now, in my opinion, is all in disarray. Florida's been fucked up for decades. You know, I remember that crazy shit with that little girl that, you know, some pedophile fucking killed her and this and it was like trailer parks. I can't even remember what the story was. It was like 15 years ago. And I remember talking to my hotline, like, Florida's just a fucked up state. And as the years go by, you hear about all this stupid shit that goes on in Florida. It goes on in all other states as well. But Florida, man, they don't have their shit in order. So why would I not want them to be able to film in the PC, Joey? Very simple. Very simple. Look at how many people who have died in Florida because of coronavirus. Look at how many people who are walking all over the fucking beaches in spring break and everything else. Because the thing is that, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people are followers. And in Florida, when you don't really put a scare into people and put these hard restrictions down, people try to take advantage of it. That's why you had these rejects that were being filmed on the beach saying, I'll take a chance if I get coronavirus, and fucking people got it. And the thing is the young people could recover from it, but you give it to a 70-year-old, you give it to your grandmother, your mother. The thing is that sunny Florida, it's beautiful and this and that, but they don't want to fucking lay down the hammer and knock this shit and get it over with. New York, they ain't fucking around. California, they're not fucking around. Louisiana, Detroit, Connecticut, Jersey, they ain't fucking around. In Florida, I mean, you look at the second order that he made, and you're like you can't even fucking understand what he said. The guy, and I like DeSantis. And if I lived in Florida, I would have voted for him. But this motherfucker's got balls the size of marbles. He is petrified to fucking have his economy tank. So he's trying to eat his cake. He's trying to make his bed, or was it bake his cake and eat it too, whatever it is. And that's what's going on. You know, so WWE sees that they can take a little advantage of this. That's why AEW is now in Atlanta. And that's why, remember my talking about state jumping? Now you have Impact Wrestling that's going to go to North Carolina. And then AEW is going to go to the Hardy compound, which I told everybody was going to happen. I don't mind seeing the wrestling on TV. And me, I make the best out of it. It blows me away still that the ratings are this bad right now because everybody is home. You have no sports right now to watch instead. We don't have any terrorist attacks going on where we're glued to the TV to see what's going on. We haven't had any crazy earthquakes or tornadoes or anything like that you're glued to the TV and watching it. You haven't had any crazy police chases that go on for 2 hours that you want to watch that. We have no presidential debates going on right now. We don't have fucking Survivor. We don't have all these other competitions going on right now. So what are these wrestling fans doing at home on Mondays and Wednesdays and even Fridays? Like, if you right now, you see like singers, they're performing in their den by themselves with nobody else. And people are like, oh my God, that was so epic. The person's in their fucking bedroom by themselves singing instead of performing live and in concert where everybody would go. So people understand, under the circumstances, you take whatever you can and you enjoy it. The fact that wrestling fans are not popping a bigger rating than before because everybody's home. The fact that they're not popping a bigger rating than before because there is no baseball, there is no football. XFL would have just been wrapping up their season. You don't have basketball, you don't have hockey, you don't have boxing, you don't have UFC, you don't have all of this other stuff, and fans still not being, just picture fans right now turning the TV on. Oh, I want to go watch some baseball. Fuck, it ain't on. I'm going to go watch basketball. Fuck, it ain't on. I'm going to go watch UFC. Fuck, it ain't on. I'm going to go watch tennis. Fuck, it ain't on. I'm going to go watch boxing. Fuck, it ain't on. Oh, pro wrestling is on though. Nah. I'd see him Pornhub all night long. I mean, that tells you something. That really does, man. Philip Maffey, do I think Vince will return the first time the crowd is allowed back? You know what? I'll say it like this. Best way I could say this is this. You know, we heard that Money in the Bank in Baltimore is canceled. Double or Nothing for AEW is likely canceled at the MGM Grand as well because they canceled shows into May. Even if Baltimore was able to go back to work on May 1st, no problems at all. Even if things in a lot of states started getting back to normal May 1st, which I believe will happen. In fact, even in my neighborhood, I'm starting to see people in their stores when they're supposed to be closed. Some people are getting fed up with this because, you know, this virus is a scary situation. But, you know, you don't know too many people in the neighborhood that have it. And as long as you wear a mask and you wear gloves and you stay far away from people, you know, the chances of getting it is slim to none. So the thing is that even if May 1st, things started getting back to normal, it's going to take at least a month to not only be able to get people in that proper mindset again, where they feel comfortable being in an area where there's people sitting right next to you and stuff like that. So it's not just, oh, we could go back to work May 1st. They can still have their pay-per-view May 10th or whatever it is. No, you can't, because you need weeks and weeks and weeks to get everybody back in the swing of things, not just physically, but emotionally as well. So it's probably not going to be until June that you start seeing regular wrestling events take place again. Because even if you plan it, even if AEW plans to redo Blood and Guts, you know, and go to a state that has virtually no coronavirus at all, you still have to set everything up, hype it up, give it time for people to buy tickets, advertise it. You got to make sure all of your wrestlers are well. You know, I saw Kevin Nash bitching and complaining that less than 1% of the nation has been tested for it. You know, I usually agree with a lot of what Kevin Nash says, but Kevin Nash needs to understand that only people who are showing symptoms of coronavirus are being tested. All right. That's why testing is not nationwide like people want it to be, because right now you're trying to test the people who show the symptoms of it. You don't just test. You know, I know he's got a blue check mark, and it seemed like a lot of NBA players were getting the test, even though they showed no signs of it. You know, you remember that actor in England? What was that fucking actor in England that I talked about 2-3 weeks ago that everybody had sympathy for? oh, I got coronavirus. I can't do UK accents, but I got coronavirus. I had no symptoms. I felt fine. But I took the test and I tested positive. The fuck you taking a test for if you had no symptoms? Now, in that case, it's good that he took the test, but come on. You know, you're not supposed to take the test. It's not Dr. DTM. It's just a fact. You know? M, the last time you got gonorrhea, all right? When your dick didn't hurt, are you going to get a gonorrhea test anyway, even though your dick ain't oozing, green stuff and hurts and everything? No, you take the test when you think something is wrong, So Tom Hanks, I don't know if Tom Hanks had any symptoms, to be honest with you. I think he might have had symptoms. Who's the guy from Idris Elba? That's who it is. Idris Elba. Had no symptoms, Yeah, I mean, it's good that they tested him and caught him, but just think of all the other blue check marks that had no symptoms and took it anyway. So that's the thing. So right now, and think of this. Think of how many additional tests would be out there. Now, it wouldn't be millions, but think of all the blue check marks out there that have been tested more than one time, even though they have showed no symptoms. You don't think that some WWE personnel haven't been tested? They've definitely been tested, You make some deals under the table. You get a couple of tests there and there. I'm telling you, don't think that that's out of the ordinary. That happens. So anyway, it's going to take a while for wrestling to have big arena shows again. Will you see smaller venues? Like almost like indie wrestling crowds? Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. And I'm not even talking the level of NXT in Full Sail. Don't be surprised if you see AEW or WWE have a show in a building that only has a couple hundred fans. Very, very small crowds. You will see that brought in gradually, in my opinion. So we'll just wait and see. But, I know in 2 weeks, Mr. Krabs are going to have the Triple H anniversary show. This is to fill time. Triple H, they're celebrating 25 years of Triple H in the business. I don't know if we'll see any terrorizing, but, it's something to fill. I have no problem with that. Now they're doing Money in the Bank qualifying matches. That fills time. And that actually kind of makes sense with the Money in the Bank match. But just remember, some of the people who are participating, these matches were all the WrestleMania match, the qualifying match, another bullshit match. They're all done within a day or two of each other. So WWE has a few weeks in the bag as far as what they're doing. They're going to rotate some of their storylines. You see like qualifying matches on the women's side as well. That's going to be coming up. And then in the meantime, you're thinking that Bayley and Sasha Banks are going to, wrestle, against, now they're going to do Tamina versus Sasha Banks, which is to set up the storyline to go further between her and Bayley. Bayley put Sasha Banks in a match against Tamina. And if Tamina beats Sasha Banks, then Tamina gets to face Bayley. I have nothing against Tamina. But seriously, who wants to see Tamina fight for the women's championship? I know I don't. But hey, she's there. And she's a body for SmackDown that hasn't had a lot of exposure recently. So this is just to buy them. That storyline with Tamina facing Bayley is going to be like 4 or 5 weeks long. Next week, you're going to have her beat Sasha. The week after, there's going to be some bullshit. And then maybe 2-3 weeks worth. I don't want it to be 4 or 5 weeks. But this is ultimately to set up, Bayley and Sasha Banks. They'll milk it for 2 months. So, Mr. Krabs, when will Chris Jericho let fans back in? Again, it's AEW's decision. Jericho doesn't own AEW. He's obviously a huge influence backstage, and he's very important behind the scenes as well as on camera. But, it's going to be the states. It's going to be the venues. It's going to be the wrestlers. Everybody's got to feel comfortable. Everybody's got to make sure that they're not sick. This antibody test that I talked about earlier this week, that antibody test is going to be the one of the biggest factors in having events happen again with a full-blown roster. Because when you will be able to simply prick your finger and be tested if you had the antibody for coronavirus, that is going to help a lot of people, because if some people that it shows that they have the antibody, it's a lot of people say that it's like measles. You get it once, you really can't get it again. Now, there are people out there. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised that some of you listening down the line, you take that antibody test, when you're going to find out that you had the virus and didn't even know it, because a lot of people that had the virus never show any symptoms. You might have one day of shitting your brains out, or you might just have a little bit of a cough. It's a fucked up virus and it's very contagious, but it's not like you get it and immediate flu or pneumonia. Some people get it and never show any signs for it. It's just the way it is. It's kind of like, you drop food on the floor, you think of that Dopey 5-second rule. You drop a French fry on the floor and you pick it up immediately and you look around, you're not seeing it, you eat it. Some people, a day or two later, man, why do I fucking feel like I got hives in my mouth? What the hell happened, this and that? Did I do anything? Did I eat any tainted pussy or anything like that? Fuck. I picked up that French fry off the floor and I ate it. I bet you that's what it was. I don't do that. I don't eat French fries anyway, but I will admit that once in a while I drop a painkiller on the floor. Sorry, man, Oxycontins, you don't throw those away. So, and they're too small, so you can't like run it underwater and then it becomes slippery. How many of you ever done that? You have like medicine or something and you drop it on the floor and you pick it up. You're like, oh, I'll just rinse it out in the sink. And you start rinsing it out and the outer coating starts to wear off and then it becomes slippery and then it falls out of your hand and it falls into the dirty sink or down the drain. You know how many times this happened to me in the past? That sucks, man. That's the worst feeling. When you have some type of like expensive medication and you drop it on the floor and then you rinse it in the sink and then it gets slippery and it falls all over the place. One time, I know a long time ago, I had Vicodin. This is like 20 years ago. And I had this cheap Vicodin that my doctor prescribed me that had no coating on it. I remember it felt like chalk, like I could actually draw on a chalkboard. And I dropped it on the floor. And me like a moron, I said, let me rinse it underwater. And because there was no protective coating, when I rinsed it, it just disintegrated. It just turned into nothing. And me, I had two choices at the time. Just like, write it off like, okay, that's one less painkiller to have. Or I could have been like, a crazy drug addict and go and start licking my hand, By the way, I did sanitize before we start the show. I have wipes here. And you know what? To make everybody feel a little more comfortable, I'll take out a wipe. I didn't really lick my hand, but, I don't want everybody to think that, Why people say this looks like a Scarface shirt? It is from the 80s. It's one of my old shirts. My parents had a box of clothes that I owned from the 80s and the 90s. When I moved out a long time ago, we had a garage. We had a garage that had like a lot of old clothes in it. And I told my mom, I was like, don't throw anything out. Because my thoughts at the time was, hey, I'll put this stuff on eBay. Sergio Tacchini outfits, stuff like that. I'll make some crazy money off of it. And then, they moved to Rockaway and the boxes were just sitting there. And then when Sandy hit, there was some boxes that were saved and some that got destroyed. And one of my boxes that was saved had tons of old clothes in it. And I took it out and I started trying some stuff on and I was like, okay, I'll keep it. Maybe I'll just wear it as a goof. So yeah, this shirt's about, 30 years old, maybe more, 35 years old. So, and it's funny because it's almost like a polo shirt. It doesn't button all the way down. So just picture people going to clubs in the 80s with this, hey, how you doing? Yeah, give me an absolute cranberry. So yeah, that's the truth. And the only reason why I'm wearing sunglasses is because these are prescription. I mean, if you really want, I could do this. Doesn't look the same, though. Like, I look more like a goof if I wear sunglasses tonight. Should I keep the shades on or should I wear regular glasses? I'll leave it up to you guys. I'll leave it up to you guys. We'll just hang for a second. I can take a little sip of my water and we could talk about some other stuff. But shades or regular glasses? Live audience, majority rules. What do you mean yes? Yes means what? Okay, keep the shades on. All right, I'll leave the shades on. So anyway, let's wrap up SmackDown since we were going back and forth a little bit. You know, Braun Strowman coming out, happy as champion. It was funny because people were reporting that Braun Strowman and Goldberg were going to have a rematch. I don't know what they were talking about. Nakamura comes out and, you know, issues the challenge. You know, I felt bad for Cesaro just getting, like, shoved over the rope from Strowman. You know, I know a lot of people use the joke, hey, WWE, you know, we want Cesaro to get a push. We didn't mean that type of a push. But it's to set up a match later on. Yeah, again, to buy time. Kabuki Warriors, you know, look, I brought this up on Monday, and I appreciate everybody that understood. I wasn't trying to take a shot at Liv Morgan, but, you know, when you push Asuka to a 600, almost 700-day reign as women's champion, breaking Goldberg's record, you know, in WWE's eyes, and undefeated and all this other stuff, and she could back it up in the ring with her talent, to see her lose to Alexa Bliss and to see her go that long with Liv Morgan, you get a little concerned. Not that Liv Morgan doesn't deserve a little bit of a rub. Absolutely, she's improved without a doubt. And yes, this is just entertainment at the end of the day, but it's also perception. And also it's WWE's track record. When you see someone, very rarely do you see someone constantly losing on television by WWE and then all of a sudden they're champion. All right. And when you see someone who was untouchable and still has the abilities, one of your top talents, and suddenly they go through this bullshit. Anybody remember how they really fucked up Asuka with that feud with Carmella when they had Ellsworth show up and that hurt Asuka's career. I mean, they tried to do bullshit finishes with Ellsworth wearing the mask and him sliding through the cage and all that other stuff. It still hurt Asuka's WWE career. And fans were not enjoying it because it's perception. You know, when someone is that good, why do people want to see Kofi with a belt? Because there's something about somebody winning and getting a title that actually, you know, feels that WWE has confidence in that person. And when someone is losing and losing to people they have no business losing to, you feel that WWE has lost confidence in that person. That's the problem that we have with the way that they have been handling the Kabuki Warriors. All right, sure, they can't be champions forever. But the point is that, you know, you have Asuka losing to Alexa Bliss, which honestly, everyone, I know that there's people out there that are really into Alexa Bliss. You watch her tag matches with Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross does a majority of the work. Alexa Bliss, they have to do 5 camera angles so she could execute one move sometimes. She is not that good at all. She's inspirational. She's got a great backstory to her. She tries. She has plenty of time to improve, and she has improved over years past. But, you know, it's smoke and mirrors with her. And her being tag team champions, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. And again, yeah, it's a moment to piss. And to see Kairi Sane eat the pin again today, all I'm waiting for now, and since I'm always right with my predictions and it really triggers a lot of people, I'm waiting for Asuka to turn on Kairi Sane. I'm waiting for Asuka to start beating up Kairi Sane. This may lead to a match between the two. And then that might be, you know, sorry to use this word, but that might be sayonara for Kairi Sane. That's where I feel it's going. I'm not enjoying it. So the Jeff Hardy packages are excellent. I know a lot of people out there would love to see Jeff Hardy have one more run as a heavyweight champion. It ain't happening right now with Braun Strowman at the helm. Maybe this happens later on. Jeff Hardy is one of the most popular talents in WWE. And they're just keeping him out there by doing these vignettes. But the fact is that his career is starting to wind down, and they're going to be very careful with Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy has been injury prone, so they are treading lightly with Jeff Hardy. I don't see, Benjamin, I think Asuka and Kairi Sane are going to have a falling out. That's just my gut feeling. I get these gut feelings sometimes that freak people out. You know, just like Wednesday with the NXT winning the ratings. Again, I can't find one podcast who said, I think NXT gets it this week. But was Sullivan's interview on Cornette's podcast good? I haven't checked it out yet, Cribs. I will definitely check it out. I have a few things I plan on watching over the weekend and listening to. Cornette, absolutely. I want to hear what Cornette said about the Firefly Funhouse stuff. Today we'll go back to SmackDown. Why not? We'll go back to him in a little bit, but I got to talk about this Edge stuff. And by the way, for people that are like, hey, he keeps rubbing his face, I'm a little under the weather today. And it's not that I feel sick or anything, but I just feel tired and run down because I'm still working. And I actually been doing extra work on the side. Plus, you know what I think is happening too? I wear that fucking mask, about 8 hours a day. And I don't know if you could see up close, but this part of my nose is getting irritated because those masks that you have, that metal bar that you bend so it's comfortable, my face is bigger. I know I got a big head, physically and literally, but I put those masks on. It's a little tight. And when I take it off, I got a red nose. I look like Rudolph. So my nose is a little irritated. Plus, and I don't mind saying it, I'm sure a lot of you out there would admit it, maybe not publicly, but even if you brush your teeth and use mouthwash, you keep that mask on for half an hour, my breath smells like a horse. I was in my office earlier today, and there was a customer sitting near my desk, and I'm talking to him, and I'm doing a payment. And as we're doing this, I'm breathing into the mask, and I'm smelling it as I'm breathing it, and I'm like, I should go. It smelled like a horse. And before anybody says, how do I know what a horse's breath smells like? I used to go on my friend's farm. He used to have horses and everything. And I remember when we used to pet them, and sometimes, try to get them, you try to pinch them a little, give them a little what was that, titty twister? But you just do it and try to get them to raise their hind legs and do this. But I used to smell it. And as soon as I smelled my breath, I said, wow, that smells familiar. And I'm like, yeah, that smells like a fucking horse. I'm not doing that again. Do that again? I'll do it again later. But, so my nose is a little irritated from wearing this mask. I'm smelling Italian horse breath all day long. I mean, when customers are not in the office, I'll spray a little bit of sanitizer in the air or Lysol, and then I'll take the mask off for a little while. But even today, you guys saw when I did the video, I had the mask on. I had nobody in my office, but I keep the mask on. I just try to be a little, my breath smelled like a horse. Plus, anybody that's on keto, there is a such thing called keto breath. So I think that probably makes it worse too. But, before we talk more about SmackDown, let's talk about Edge for a minute. In fact, we get to talk about two Copelands tonight. One is Adam, and one is not related to Adam, but, Edge said some interesting stuff. And I have to read what he said word for word, because it's the only way I think it's apropos for me to respond the way I did. Now, I know that some people yesterday had some Twitter wars over Edge's comments. Now, let me make this perfectly clear from the beginning. I have done nothing but praise Edge's return to WWE. I praised the Edge documentary that is on the WWE Network right now. I am an Edge fan. I am satisfied with him. But I have the right as a paying wrestling fan. I have the right as a customer to criticize something when it deserves some criticism. And in my opinion, his match against Randy Orton was quite boring. It went on way too long. He admitted in an interview that the match actually went 42 or 43 minutes. Remember when I said that it went a lot longer than 36 and they edited that much stuff down? All right. So Edge does the interview and he says, and I quote, that, you know, he says that everybody's entitled to their opinion. But then he says that it's subjective and whatever blows your hair back, and we can weather the weight of a minuscule militia of malcontents who just want to complain about everything. Then he says the doozy that really pissed me off. He says, and I quote, they complain about the length of a wrestling match during a pandemic. Let me repeat that. Edge says these malcontents, did I say miscreants? Malcontents, excuse me. These militia of malcontents are criticizing a match during a pandemic. First of all, motherfucker, WWE charged full fucking price for WrestleMania. There were a lot of people out there that actually bought it on Fight TV. It's not easy to get the WWE Network in Canada. A lot of people ordered the fucking pay-per-view. That's why it was offered on Fox. It was offered on Fight TV because WWE is trying to get money. They charged regular fucking price. This is the new thing to be prepared for, everybody. This is the new thing now. You know, now it's you can't criticize anything because we're in a pandemic. Be thankful for what you get. This is what I have to say. And this is a guy that's an Edge fan. This is a guy that's happy he returned. This is a guy that loved the documentary. This guy roots for Edge. But Edge has no fucking idea what he's talking about. Right now, if you ordered the food delivery from a restaurant that normally doesn't do delivery, and their meal is $59.99, whatever it is, chicken, rice, potatoes, steak, asparagus, broccoli rabe, whatever it is, and you take it, they deliver it to you, $59.99, and you bring it into your house, you sit down, you're ready to eat, and you fucking stick your fork in the fucking chicken, and it ain't fucking going nowhere. The thing is hard as a rock. Or you bite into the steak, and it's like a piece of rubber. You can't do... You mean to tell me that because the chef took 36 minutes to make your dinner, even though it tastes like shit, even though it's inedible, even though it's very bland, that I don't have a right to go on Grubhub and say I paid $59.99 for this? And honestly, you know, the vegetables were good and the dessert was nice and the roll was fresh and baked. But, you know, the steak, I got to be honest with you, I was looking forward to the steak more than anything else, and it's rubbery. I couldn't even put my fork into it. Now, I'm supposed to give it 5 stars and keep my mouth shut because I'm in the middle of a pandemic? If WWE, the pandemic, then they should have gave it for fucking free. So that's my honest opinion on it. You know, Edge has worked his ass off. Edge was tormented for years that he could not do what he loved. Edge has been almost obsessive with returning to the ring. The last thing that Edge wanted was anybody to be disappointed in his match. No question. But like that dog, you know, what was the Vinny in Family Guy? Edge, you blew it. You blew it. You blew it. You should have just said, yeah, some people thought it was a little too long. You know, Randy and I, you know, we thought it was good. As soon as you start calling some fans miscontents or whatever the fuck it is, oh, just some people that complain about everything. No, motherfucker. There's a reason why ratings have gone down 2-3 million viewers even before there was any pandemic in the last 2 years, motherfucker. There's a reason why that the stock is down 65% before there was any pandemic, motherfucker. You know, the bottom line is that people paid regular price and they were looking forward to his match, Undertaker's and Cena Wyatt probably more than any others. And if they feel that the steak was a little tough and the chicken was a little bit undercooked and maybe they had no spice to it and it was very bland, you don't just say, well, you know what? The chef did spend 36 minutes cooking it and it is a pandemic. So, we really should give him 5 stars or just keep our mouth shut. No, motherfucker. No. This is the new thing now. When you criticize women's wrestling, it's because you're a sexist. Now, when you criticize something in the middle of a pandemic, there's just people that want to complain about everything. So, I root for Edge, and the match was not bad, but it was too long, and it was a little bland, and at times it was kind of, average. All right, so what? That doesn't make me a malcontent. WWE charge people full price for that shit, pandemic or not. So everybody has a right to criticize it, in my opinion. So I don't think Joey 924 is around anymore, Krabs. By the way, if you really want to have fun, make sure you check out Wrestling Soup's 10-year anniversary show. They did their 10-year anniversary show today. They've been around 10 years. And I purposely brought back flashbacks of when the fans invaded the Joey 924's roundtable show, just hijacking all the calls. And it was good. I went on their show for about 10 minutes, and I just talked about history. It's an anniversary show, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and bring up the negative problems of today. You want people to get their mind off of it. So, a few people after me that said, why didn't I bring this up? I'm like, because the idea of the show is to fucking get people's mind off of problems, not to make them more depressed. So I figured, let's play some clips of them fans hijacking Brutus the Bird Beefcake, hijacking the roundtable show from like 10 years ago. But, but the Edge stuff, he's offended. And he's wrong, in my opinion. And this is something, too. He's a Hall of Famer. He's likable. He's a good guy. But that should never make you lose your balls. Like, just because you like someone, you should be able to have the balls to say when they're wrong. You should be able to have the right to criticize them. Just think about that blind love. That because you're a fan of someone, that everything is perfect. Everything is spot on. That's why, like the thing with Killer Cross and Nia Jax the other day, I really didn't want to talk about it. Because I know there's a lot of people in the Donzilla Army that are huge fans of Killer Cross, as I. When he had all that shit with TNA, the man trusted me, gave me all the legal documents of what he was trying to get from Impact Wrestling. And it was just ridiculously horrible that they would hijack him for such a small amount of money. I'm ecstatic that he's finally going to debut in NXT. But at the same time, though, I thought he was wrong to put any thought into, these random people on social media. There's always going to be somebody that's going to say something, to start shit. And you can't fall into that bait. So, yeah, Benjamin, they're called fanboys. You could be a fan of someone, but when you start acting like a fanboy, no, I'm not. I don't like being a fanboy. Sorry. And I think as much as I like Edge, I will have, the kahunas to say when he's wrong. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal against him. But motherfucker, use the food analogy. Pandemic or not, you're charging me regular price, to buy something. I'm supposed to, because it's a pandemic, I'm supposed to just let it slide. We just want to complain about anything. And that's almost similar to Ronda Rousey. I don't know if you guys saw this. Ronda Rousey went on Steve O's podcast, and she said the following. I love the WWE. I had such a great time. I love all the girls in the locker room. Running out there and having fake fights for fun is just the best thing. I love the choreography. I love acting. I love theater. Live theater and some of the last forms of live theater. But I was basically doing part-time, and I was away from home 200 days out of the year. And when I did get home, I was so sleep deprived because you just don't have any time to lay down. Yeah, so far so good, right? Okay. If I did all the live shows, I was only home a day and a half a week. It was just not worth it for my family because we were eliminating all of our expenses and living this lifestyle. We didn't need it. We didn't need the money. So it's just like, what am I doing it for if I'm not being able to spend my time and energy on my family? Instead of spending my time and energy on a bunch of fucking ungrateful fans that don't appreciate me. I love performing. I love the girls. I love being out there. But at the end of the day, I was just like, fuck these fans, dude. My family loves me and they appreciate me, and I want all my energy to go into them. That's what Ronda Rousey said. And, you know, again, we're in an age right now where when people underperform or are not, you know, well received sometimes, or maybe get criticism, you know, it's no longer, you know what, you know, maybe I was, you know, I disappointed some, but I'm going to do my best. It makes John Cena, you know, look that much better over the years. You know, I just want to entertain everybody. You know, if I let you down, even early Seth Rollins. Remember when Seth Rollins had that horrible match when the fans were doing the countdown for I think it was the Royal Rumble or whatever it was, and it was just like one of the worst matches, and he went on social media and he said, I own this. I own this. And he apologized, and he said that he would do better. And he gained a lot of people's respect at that time. You know when people started turning on him, besides incorporating his relationship on TV? When he started turning into a bitch boy on social media. And you see more and more performers of today that don't have the thick skin that you think they have. They might be able to literally break your jaw in real life, but they don't have the thick skin that people used to have yesteryear. How many times in the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, even when social media was around in the 2010s, how many times back then when you had TNA wrestlers, when you had some WWE wrestlers, indie circuit, when people used to rip people online, they would be written off as trolls and they'd be ignored. And some wrestlers would say, look, you know, I'll try to do better. I'm sorry if I let people down. Now, everybody, all the fans are the enemies. The fans are the heels. Some people out there you can't please. If there are people out there that don't like stuff no matter what, those are the fucking people that you ignore. Those are the fucking people that you do not address. All right. It's called having thick skin. It's called ignoring the trolls. What happens now is they address the trolls, but they also commingle the trolls with everybody else. As far as Edge, he's actually said that people are criticizing the length of a match during a pandemic. The fuck does that mean? The fuck does that mean? Seriously. And Ronda Rousey, you know, what she said, it's just, this is how people deal with it now. The fans are the bad people. It's no longer, you know, just think. Like I said, why do you think they show videos, like I said, of Liv Morgan crying before her Elimination Chamber match? A ton of people online thought that match was very underwhelming. A lot of people felt that 3/4 of the participants in that match had no business being in a main event of a pay-per-view. All right. But instead, you know, we see footage of her 2 weeks later crying and tearing up that this is what I dreamed for and this is that. That's why Nikki Cross, when everybody was so, you know, like disappointed, like, wow, that match was kind of blah. And, you know, the Kabuki Warriors, you know, the way they lost this and that. And then you have Nikki Cross like, oh, when I was a little girl, I dreamed with my best friend and this and that. And people forget that, you know, they've had gold before. It's just like, it's almost like they got to put guilt trips on people who complain. I'm telling you, and this is the reason why, this is a big reason why wrestling is not as popular as it used to be. Because when you have, you know, the people on TV are supposed to be larger than life. The people on TV are supposed to come across that they're They have thicker skin, and they're just out there to do their best for everybody out there. And, you know, at the end of the day, they just want to entertain you. And yeah, during the pandemic, you know, you have Stephanie cutting that promo in Triple H like, oh, everybody's just here because they want to entertain everybody out there. Yeah, but the minute they do something that kind of sucks, you put it in everybody's face. You know, look, everybody is doing this because they just want to get everybody's mind off of problems. All right, well, the match kind of sucked. Well, you be thankful it's a fucking pandemic. No, fuck you. That turns a lot of people off. You have that many people that are basically turning it on the fans. There's been trolls since the beginning of time. There's been trolls in the 40s, the 50s, the 70s, the 80s, the 60s too. There's been trolls forever. Now, all of a sudden, trolls always get addressed in it. You remember what I said? I started noticing this like 2 or 3 years ago. You would see like a lot of WWE stars. You saw this? Because this started becoming a thing about 3 years ago. There's always trolls online. And there's always, you know, people who hide behind fake pictures and this and that. And they just like, all they do is try to like get under people's skin, try to irritate people, try to, you know, just really annoy them. And, you know, most of the time you just block. And then about 3 years ago on social media, you started to see some people in WWE especially that would actually find a troll that usually had less than 100 followers, had virtually no profile whatsoever, and they would decide to respond to that person. And then you would have other people in WWE who would support that person, and they would gang up on the fake account. And then the fake profile usually got deleted, and that was the end of it. And you would see it. It would be brought up about race. It would be brought up about people's nationality. It would be brought up because someone's a woman. It would be brought up because someone is fat. It would be brought up because someone had plastic surgery. It would be brought up because of this. It would be brought up because of so many different reasons. And you look at most of the time when they were the people they were confronting, and it's like, why are you wasting your time on a guy that has 50 followers, doesn't have any real profile? Why this person even phasing you? You got a blue check mark. Most of these blue check marks have settings where they only could see the profiles of blue check. I don't know if you know that's a setting on social media, that if you have a blue check mark and you're verified, there's a setting where all you see on your wall are other people who are verified. And 95% of the time, these people that are verified, they only see other people who are verified. That's why you notice sometimes some people in the WWE that have blue check marks, you always see them immediately respond back to other people with blue check marks, but never seem to really answer too much regular fans out there. And then what happens is once in a while they remove the setting, or they do a search on Twitter to see what's being said about them. And I'm telling you, I honestly believe to this day that there are some people out there who were looking for people who were saying the most outrageous shit about them. And instead of blocking them, ignoring them, they're like, oh my God, look at this opportunity. Let me respond back to this person. Then I'll have the whole fucking women's community backing me up and this and that. And they were like asking for it. And that's all fine and dandy, but when you do it for 3 years and now you're doing it to fans that legitimately pay to see you on TV and then have legitimate reasons to criticize it, and then you turn around and you're like, well, it's a fucking pandemic, or look at these people, you know, fuck these people. Oh, man, you know, when you get people like that, it turns you off even more. So anyway, so that's the Ronda Rousey stuff. Now, we get to talk about Hulk Hogan. Hulk fucking Hogan. I tell you, man, this is one of the reasons why I'm kind of thankful that I'm blocked from his page so I don't get to see some of the things that I see. But did you read what he said about coronavirus? It's surprising, and I'm a religious person, not that religious, but I'm religious enough that I believe in the Bible and I believe a lot of things. But he wrote something on Instagram that I was surprised of how many people that actually like agreed with him. I'm going to share it with you. I'll tell you my opinion on it. Hulk Hogan says, and I quote, "Word up. Can you handle the truth, my brother? Only love. In 3 short months, just like he did with the plagues of Egypt, God has taken away everything we worship. God said, you want to worship athletes? I will shut down the stadiums. You want to worship musicians? I will shut down the civic centers. You want to worship actors? I will shut down the theaters. You want to worship money? I will shut down the economy and collapse the stock market. You don't want to go to church and worship me? I will make it where you can't go to church. If my people who are called by my name will humble and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and will heal their land." Okay? So far, not too bad. Maybe we don't need a vaccine. Maybe we need to take this time of isolation from the distractions of the world and have a personal revival where we focus on the only thing in the world that really matters, Jesus. Let me read that last bit again. Maybe we don't need a vaccine. Maybe we need to take this time of isolation from the distractions of the world and have a personal revival where we focus on the only thing that matters, Jesus. I don't wish coronavirus on nobody. I want somebody that he fucking loves or him himself gets some type of a disease or coronavirus. I want him, the minute he fucking, brother, can't talk, can't breathe, brother. I want the fucking nurse or the fucking doctor to say, you know what, brother, I don't think we need a vaccine. I think you need to concentrate on Jesus. Seriously. Brother. You know what I thought of? Seriously? As soon as I read that, I thought of this motherfucker. You know this guy? This Copeland guy? Now, you know what's funny about him? Tell me, I can't believe that nobody has picked up on this. Tell me that this fucking evangelist Copeland doesn't look like the boss. The fucking Mr. McMahon doll that WWE uses in the Bray Wyatt segments. That fucking doll looks more like this piece of shit than fucking the Mr. McMahon himself. Tell me that doesn't look like him. Seriously. But seriously, my answer to Hogan, and you know what? I have to put this on the side. Now, let's put it over here. All right? This is for Hulk Hogan. Seriously. Hulk, I don't wish coronavirus on you. But if you get coronavirus and you go race to the hospital, brother, and you go see that doctor, I hope that doctor, he's got that fucking vaccine in his hand, or he's got that hydrochlorophyll, whatever that shit is, and the Z-Pack, and he's about to give it to you, and instead he puts it down and he says, "Wind! Almighty!" I want everybody to go with me, all right? When I say it, then you say it in your own home. Ready? To Hulk right now. Hulk, no vaccine. I don't think we need a vaccine. Instead, let's do this, Hulk. We'll cure you. Wind! Almighty! Strong! South wind! Heat! Burn this thing! In the name of Jesus! Say you bow down to your knees. You fall on your face. COVID-19. Hulk, did you feel it? It's leaving the room. COVID-19, I said. Brother, I blow the wind of God on you. You are destroyed forever, COVID-19, and you will never be back. Thank you, God. Let it happen. Motherfucker. Say that to somebody listening right now who's lost a family member, a loved one, somebody who might be in the hospital right now that is fucking on a ventilator close to death, and they find out that, hey, you know, I'm hoping to pray to God that there's a vaccine that might be able to save my life. And then you fucking look at this network. Maybe we don't need a vaccine. Maybe we should be closer to Jesus. This is fucking the God's will comment all over again. Did you remember what he said to Graziano that time? It's God's way. Fucking Matarazzi. You know, I actually hurt my neck. Seriously, I hope Dr. Kenneth Copeland goes into his fucking operating room when he's on a ventilator, brother. 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 Fucking stupid. What a fucking idiot. Every single person has somebody who's sick right now. Imagine if you fucking somebody said, yeah, I don't think we need a, I punch him right in the fucking, you know what I do? I punch him where the battery pack is on his spine. That spinal stimulator, punch him right in the fucking back. Fucking idiot. Moron. Fucking dumb Matarazzi. Seriously. I know what Hulk was trying to say. You don't fucking say that people are clinging to life. And the only thing that has a chance is possibly, you know, maybe we don't need a vaccine. Maybe we should be closer to Jesus. Idiot. So anyway, what else we got to talk about? I don't know. I think we covered most of everything. You know, we had, let's see what other matches we had tonight. Oh, we had Dolph Ziggler beat Tucker. And Tucker shows Ziggler some photos, whatever. Bottom line is Tucker gets another loss. Anybody notice how much Tucker loses on WWE? I'm not saying this to be a dick in any way, shape, or form, but I don't think WWE sees that much money in Tucker. He's going to be the Marty Jannetty of heavy machinery. All right, as soon as that split breaks up, that guy's done, man. He's going to have to come back like fucking Midian. Like he's going to have to fucking become like an acolyte or something, because if he still comes out as the hillbilly, there's only room for one hillbilly. The minute they split up, this guy's going to have to totally repackage himself. WWE's going to have to totally repackage him, because if he comes out as good old Tucky, I'm sorry, I don't see little kids going, Tucky, Tucky to me, the bad. WWE, I don't think sees that. Otis is the future big-time star. Right now, treading water. Again, I have nothing against Tucker. I still wish that he was the one behind this whole thing. Notice no creepy Ali this week, you know, pushing a button. I was surprised at how many people didn't see it the way I did last week. Creepy Ali. He's creepy, man. Cameras in the women's locker room? You creepy bastard. Seriously. Tucky mania. Tucky. How great, man. You know, even though I wasn't into the feud, we had the grizzled young veterans feuding with the Forgotten Sons in NXT. I know a lot of people out there in podcasting or website land that say they cover NXT. They had no idea who these three bearded guys were that debuted tonight on SmackDown. Oh, I watch NXT every week. Oh, yeah, I remember that great feud with the Forgotten Sons. And oh, I remember the grizzled young veterans. And then they go on SmackDown, and what's the first tweet they write today? Who the fuck are these guys? Who the fuck are these guys? Sorry, man. I'm going to say what I said on NXT. This is why I cover NXT every week. I never got into the Forgotten Sons in NXT, and them showing up on SmackDown right now, I hate to say it, What was that tag team, Sanity? See what happened to Sanity? Sanity, you felt like had some potential. And it never took off. And Sanity, bye-bye, split up. I will make a prediction. Unless fucking coronavirus stays here till the end of the year, I will make a prediction. By the end of 2020, and I'm only saying the end of 2020 because the next couple of months, they'll just take whoever they can get right now. By the end of 2020, the grizzled young veterans are split up. No, not the grizzled, excuse me, the Forgotten Sons. They, pun intended, they will be forgotten. The Forgotten Sons will be history. You see, they might keep one, they might keep two, because they're not bad. I mean, they're not, it's just, unfortunately, though, I just don't see, I mean, right now, you got no, first of all, there's no crowds there. So you don't know how the crowd would react to some of these people. You don't know if they would cheer them. You don't know if they would get into them. You don't know if they would sit with their hands on their asses. My gut feeling is that the Forgotten Sons, if there was a live crowd tonight, live, and they came out, there'd be silence. And deservingly so, because obviously only a small portion of the WWE Universe watches NXT. But I just remember on Wednesday Night Dynamite multiple times saying, sorry, I just can't get into the Forgotten Sons. By the end of 2020, which LED panel, Carmelo? The PlayStation one or the Pac-Man stuff? Because those are lit up right now. So they're nice, but the batteries, they eat up batteries like you wouldn't believe. But do you guys feel the same way? Like the Forgotten Sons, I can't really remember any big connection with fans. And, you know, if you don't have a great connection with the NXT fans, you're going to have a fucking hard time with the WWE Universe. Because those NXT fans in Full Sail University are there almost every single week that NXT is there. You get the same familiar faces there week in and week out and week in and week out. And they usually will support everybody. Everybody. Maybe not so much Cameron Grimes, but almost everybody. And the fact that they don't have that type of a connection with the Full Sail fans, what fucking connection do you think you're going to get with the young WWE Universe? Anybody out there honestly think any girls are going to go, oh, grizzled young veterans, Forgotten Sons. I keep mixing up. Forgotten Sons. Oh, I won't forget about you tonight. Oh, you think little kids are going to go, Mommy, buy me Forgotten Son shirt? What demographic? The goofy podcasters that all have these big beards? You know, they all look like those fans that Britt Baker talked about. The AEW. Seriously, the Forgotten Sons. Adam says they're the Revival 2.0. You know, they're like the hairy Revival. I mean, you know, they're not the same, obviously. Revival is more old school. Revival, when they first came into NXT, you remind me of Tully and Arn. That's what it reminded me of. And you could see how Arn Anderson was an influence on Dawson. Forgotten Sons, I just don't know. Like, Toon thinks that they're going to click with biker chicks. I'm sorry. I don't see, like, a lot of biker chicks going to WWE events. I just don't know who they're going to click with. I mean, you know, I think right now they're on TV because of coronavirus. Forgotten Sons would be one of the last tag teams if I was watching NXT on a weekly basis with no coronavirus. And you said to me, okay, you know, tag team, go to SmackDown. Don't choose the Undisputed Era because those are the top guys, but any other tag team, I guarantee you I would come up with probably 10 different tag teams before I got to the Forgotten Sons. Seriously. You know, Sons of Anarchy, I mean, at least Aces and 0.8s had Bully Ray and, you know, mainstream names. We're fucking, seriously, we don't have any, like, huge names in the Forgotten Sons. Who cares if they're Son of Anarchy wannabes? That makes it even worse. So, I don't know. I don't know. I'll give him, look, I'll give him a chance because sometimes WWE tweaks people once they go on the main roster, obviously. So maybe they have plans on tweaking these guys. I just don't see it. And to me, it just feels like this is just filler right now. They want to put some fresh faces on TV. You know, look, beating up the Lucha House Party is always a plus for me. So I'll give them that if there was any positive tonight. You know, Lucha. So anyway, what else we got? We talked about Cal Bloom already. And Strowman, you know, beating Nakamura. You know, yeah, I'll tell you, man, Strowman didn't have a bad match with Nakamura tonight. I'm curious to see where this goes with Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. I don't see, if you notice, like, again, no PSAs from WWE. You would think that they would tell their young WWE universe to stay home, you know, think of your grandma, your grandpa, your parents, that you may, you know, no public service announcements at all. You get a little fucking clip on social media from Becky, or you get somebody with a TikTok, but you don't see nothing on fucking TV. You know, when we get the PSAs, we get them on commercial breaks. We get like 15 fucking singers that I've never heard of before, and they're all on their social medias during a commercial break. Where are all the fucking role models in WWE right now telling their young WWE universe, you know, wash these hands? That should be fucking without a coronavirus. Where is the public service announcements? You know? I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, Roman Reigns, WWE will never admit it, but they had to change their entire top program because Roman Reigns pulled himself off of Mania. The fact that they had him do a contract signing with Goldberg in the middle of coronavirus should tell you what WWE thought about coronavirus. Go back to the date that happened. Go back and see what was going on in Italy that started going on in the United States. All the doctors that were telling everybody that anybody with a pre-existing condition that are very susceptible to it, and they still put him there. Roman Reigns voluntarily pulled himself off, and I commend him for that. And he had the balls and was straight up and told everybody. But if, just think about this for a minute. This is something that nobody talks about. If Roman Reigns did not pull himself off of WrestleMania, do you think WWE would have? Do you think Triple H or Stephanie or Vince would have said, look, you had leukemia before, man. Your immune system is compromised. We don't want to take any chance. Please consider staying home. Please, you know, we don't want to take a chance. God forbid. They would have never pulled him from WrestleMania if Roman didn't pull himself. So for anybody out there that thinks that WWE was 100% fine with Roman's decision, think of that. Because the week that he pulled himself off, they didn't even announce on SmackDown why he was pulled. Just a matter of fact, oh, Roman will not compete, so Braun Strowman will compete instead. That should tell you how much they cared about Roman Reigns' condition. They would not have pulled him from Mania if Roman didn't pull himself. That just shows. They won't even say the word coronavirus. Seriously. I mean, it's not a wrestling federation that you're competing with. It's not radical Islamic terrorism. It's a fucking disease. They call out breast cancer. They call out the Connor cancer, whatever it was. They call out everything else, but they can't fucking say the words coronavirus. Where is the T-shirts to raise the money with the proceeds going to the United? I mean, next week I'm going to charge on my card the money that mission I raised 2 weeks ago. And the reason why I didn't do it yet is because YouTube is not paying me for that money raised 2 weeks ago until next week. And I don't have that extra cash around right now. Everybody thinks I got moolah. I charged an engagement ring last year. I'm still paying that off. And I'm working 4 jobs right now to try to pay bills, But seriously, WWE right now has tons of problems. And you know what? Let's talk about the XFL. Holy shit. I thought we were opening up with the XFL and we suddenly shifted to the Revival. Let's talk about the XFL. I'm sorry for drinking so much water, but I have a lot to say with this. Like I opened up with the show, but got shifted to the Revival. You do an advanced Twitter search of my account and type in the letters XFL. You will see that I said that I do not judge anything with the XFL after 1 week. After 1 week, it was getting crazy ass praise. And I wrote after 1 week that I was pleasantly surprised because I wasn't feeling the rules before the game started. But I also remembered what happened in 2001. I remember all the newspapers and all the buzz of XFL, with the exception of The Rock cutting a promo on the Titantron and Vince, welcome to the XFL. And, having Austin and others cut promos between commercial breaks. Still, XFL got some decent feedback week 1 in 2001. Then the second week came. The ratings started to do this. And in desperation, Vince started doing storylines with the women and doing things. So I don't need to rehash history. So I remembered that in 01. And I said this year, just because it's 1 week gone by, doesn't mean it's not gonna follow the trend of 2001. After 3 weeks, I didn't do any ratings research tonight, but after 3 weeks on television, didn't XFL drop over 50% in their ratings? Their ratings started taking nosedives this year. Even though they were getting decent reviews, they were getting significant drops in the ratings. And at the end of the day, Vince McMahon put a lot of his own money into year 1. And I'm not saying that XFL would have made money this year, but the idea was you put in, I think Vince was going to dedicate, $150 million for XFL. I don't remember the exact figure, but here's the problem. We're probably not going to have coronavirus in 2021. And by then we should have a vaccine or whatever it is. But the thing is that Vince McMahon, he needed whatever money he invested this year, he needed to have some in return. He needed to have some momentum. He needed to have advertising revenue. He needed to have revenue from the gates for all of these stadiums. And when coronavirus hit, I remember these geniuses on wrestling websites that were talking about, all these wrestling indie groups in Florida, they're waiting for WWE to cancel because of a government order, because then they could claim this and then they could claim that. I already schooled everybody on how stupid these people don't know what they're talking about. But the thing is, when it comes to Vince, he ain't getting any insurance for these venues that canceled. He gave money to these venues and he paid players and promised salaries at the end of the year, and all of the revenue that he was supposed to make for the advertisements for the rest of the season, for all the money he was supposed to make for merchandise sales, all the money he was supposed to make from the gates and the people attending live, he lost all that. So all this money that he put into the product this year, he ain't getting none of it back. So basically, his idea was to go into year one, obviously not come out with a profit, but if you put $50 million into it and you get $30 million back, it's almost like, I'll give you an example. It's a bad example, but this is the only way I could relate to it. When I started my insurance business in 1998, all right, I had to pay rent, buy my desks, computers, everything like that. I had to charge everything. And after 1 month, I think I had 10 customers. How much commission you think I got because of that? $1,000, if that. Didn't pay my bills. So I had to charge a second month. My goal was to retain at least 8 or 9 of those 10 customers after 1 month. Then the second month, try to get another 10 customers. And the third month, another 10. And hopefully after 6 months, if I had 60 customers going in, even if I had 10 customers leaving me, I still had 50. And you build it up over a year. This way, by the second year, all those customers I already have, they're renewing their policies, and I concentrate on getting more. Now, imagine putting all this money into a business and you get customers after month 1 or month 2, and you have 20 customers, and then all of a sudden it shuts down for 3, 4, 5 months. Remember, XFL season was only for 2 months because those stadiums had to be available for the NFL teams, in most of those areas. So it's not that the XFL was going to be in business for 12 months. It was only going to be in business for 2 more months around. So when you lose 80% or 70% of all of the money you expected to come in, now you have to spend that money again next year. And Vince is not a stupid businessman. He put so much money in this year. And MJ saying, does DT stand for delusional twat? Delusional in what way, my friend? Tell me how I'm delusional. Vince McMahon in the XFL lost crazy amounts of money this year that he invested that he got no return on. Vince was not going to do that for a second year in a row. He had to pay all of the players throughout the season. There are tons of executives. There, like you see like Andrew Luck and others, whoever these names are, you think they're making chump change? You think they're doing it for the love of football? Seriously, how am I delusional? Just tell me how I'm delusional. Vince McMahon invested a lot of money this year, and his stock took a massive hit. Remember that stock transaction from 2-3 weeks ago that nobody paid attention to? Nobody still's paying attention to that. Look up the stock transaction that Vince did that doesn't go in for like another 2 years. Just think, little by little, I think Vince is getting out of, his investments. And Vince was not going to invest that much more money and do this for a second year in a row. And God forbid something happens again, he's not going to put himself in not bankruptcy, but this is what happens when you only have a one-man operation for the most part. Ask yourself this. Why didn't Vince consider maybe selling this to another group out there? There's got to be a billionaire somewhere that thought the XFL had promise. Why didn't he just sell it over to someone else? And, maybe keep it for another year. He lost millions and millions of dollars, and he chose to shut it down. They had a conference call today for about 10 minutes, and when the conference call is over, you saw players online, it's done. It's over with. 2021 ain't happening. I'm just surprised that Vince could not find someone. I don't think Vince wanted to sell to anyone else. Vince wants the XFL legacy left to himself. Maybe he changes his mind down the line. Maybe Vince sells the rights to XFL to another group. If he can get some good money for, think about that. If some billionaire out there offered Vince McMahon $50 million for the rights to the XFL, even if it never starts up again, why wouldn't he do that? I don't think Vince is going to get $50 million worth of He Hate Me jerseys, from 2001. So I agree, Ben. I don't know why Vince would not want anyone else to have it. Ask yourself that. We're in the middle of coronavirus. What was the big rush? I mean, the season would have been pretty much wrapping up right now. But why did Vince, during the coronavirus, shut it down? It's 2021. We're not even talking about next year. Done. Over. There's not going to be a Vince XFL 3.0. They folded the first. By the way, everybody who's live right now, because I'm noticing it, I would really appreciate it. If you like tonight's episode so far, it takes literally a couple of seconds. Just hit the like button, because this allows, my show to be visible for, a few other places out there that, may not normally see the show. And if you like my channel, subscribe. Definitely looking forward to hitting 10,000 subscribers. I think that would be awesome. So I appreciate it. So if you could, just hit the like button, and if you want, subscribe to the channel. And very cool. Thank you, everybody who did. I see everybody doing it. So much appreciated. But Vince started this in 2001, and he was going to take the XFL very, very seriously this year. And it debuted, got good reviews. Unfortunately, ratings started to go down. The stadiums were not very full. It did some decent crowds, but that was it. It's a two plus month season, 3 month season. It's not 12 months. And I think that's the thing a lot of people didn't think about today. We're talking about a business that's only open for 3 months. So you have to pay people enough salary, and it's only 3 months worth. So again, I don't know why Vince didn't consider selling it, but maybe someone else gives him an offer he can't refuse, and maybe the XFL does have a rebirth again in 2021 or 2022. I think that is always a possibility. Look, it's not like, an heirloom that, a parent or a grandparent gave you, and it's so personal and so precious that, no, I can't sell it to anybody. I cannot give it up. XFL is not an heirloom. It's a creation that Vince made in 2001 with NBC. That guy, I forget his name. I can't remember his name right now, but it's right on the tip of my tongue too. But did somebody in the chat save me? Because I don't want to finish the show without mentioning his name. The guy from NBC. Oh man, that executive. Somebody will pick him up. But Vince created the concept, and Dick Ebersol. Thank you, Dick Ebersol. It was a nice concept. Obviously, it failed in the end, and it was kind of comical. But he took it seriously this year, and it didn't get bad reviews. But unfortunately, he shut it down, and it's done. That's it. That's that. And there's nothing we can do about it. So that's it. So it was good while it lasted. But, man, it's not meant to be for the XFL. And that just goes to show you how it's easy to say how little money when, someone is a billionaire. But it just shows you the level of confidence that Vince had before coronavirus hit. If Vince thought that he had a soon-to-be money-making company, then I don't think he would have this prematurely shut it down for 2021. I think you also have to look at TV rights next year, advertisers. I don't know what type of TV agreements he had in store for 2021. There's a lot of other factors to bring into this, but I would leave you by saying never say never as far as him possibly selling it to someone else. There's got to be somebody out there, a billionaire out there, that always wanted to have his own franchise. And there's no way that selling the XFL should be a crazy amount of money. So it's more of like a pop culture thing than anything else, if you really think about it. And it's a real fucking shame, too, with the amount of work that was put into it, the amount of players that got an opportunity. You know, it was a nice alternative to the NFL. And, you know, just this virus, man, just goes to show you how little confidence Vince had of recovering in 2021. So, yeah, Sebastian, that's a great idea. Mark Cuban could fucking write Vince a check, and even if it never goes off the ground, you know, it's it. And that's not out of the question. I'm telling you, do not be surprised. There's going to be some goofs out there that are going to just start the rumor. Do not be surprised if you start hearing rumors that Vince is considering selling the rights to someone else so maybe they could carry on what XFL should have been. So we'll see. But I think that's pretty much it. As far as the baseball season and all this stuff going on, I'm going to save that for next week because a lot is going to transpire over the next 7 days. I can't speak for other states and other countries. I can only speak for New York. But I can tell you from my neck of the woods, this is what everybody is viewing the coronavirus right now. Number one, the number of people who have died the last couple of days is the highest it's ever been. And on the surface, that would concern a lot of people. The problem is that, and this is actually, it's not a good thing, but it is a good thing. The people that are dying are people that got sick 2-3 weeks ago. And if anybody out there wants to spend a little bit of time and get to understand how the machines work and why they do what they do and how they're actually, in the end, not good for you, but ventilators. You know, we all think that when somebody's put on like life support, they're keeping them alive. When someone is put on a ventilator, the longer you stay on a ventilator, the bigger the chance you're going to die. Your lungs are shot. And a lot of the people that have been dying here in New York the last couple of days are people who have been on ventilators for 2-3 weeks. When you're on ventilators that long, you're just prolonging the inevitable. So what's happening, and I'm just being honest, I don't mean to be cold, I'm not trying to be that way, but what's happening is the people that got very, very sick 2-3 weeks ago are now dying off. But the number of people who are being admitted to the hospital is a very, very small number. How wacky is it that one of the couple of dozen ends up being my fiance's brother tonight? No bullshit. But the number of people of new cases going into the hospital is very, very small. So all of the people that are dying right now are the people that got very, very sick 2-3 weeks ago. So as long as the new number that's of people being admitted is very, very low, a week or two from now, you're going to have a very, very low number of people in the hospital. So the whole idea is that you got to keep your social distancing. Wear the masks, wear the gloves, wash your hands, use sanitizer. When you talk to someone, face the other way. That's something that nobody ever talks about. You know, if somebody sneezes or coughs, get the fuck out of there as quickly as possible, even if, you know, unless it's somebody you're living with. But even with that, I mean, how many of you out there, you know, just sit there and take it if somebody sneezes near you? Do you just like go, like Randy Orton, go and just breathe it in? No, get the fuck away from there. Yeah, you don't touch your face. If you touch your face, you make sure, see, I use the Lysol wipe, so I know my hands are clean. But you don't touch your face, you don't touch your nose. And as long as you do that, you'll be all right. Today I bought a couple of groceries. I made sure I stood away from people. You know, if I walked past someone, I made sure I had the mask on. You know, because you don't know if somebody coughed a minute before they walked down that aisle. Walk that aisle, the grocery aisle. So as long as you do that for a couple of more weeks, we'll lick this thing. And, you know, I honestly believe before May 1st, you're going to see some states allowing people to go back to work. And, we'll be over it sooner than later. But even if the number of people wherever you live is very, very low, like I said, just like that, it could spread. I used that example last week. Just picture if I had the virus right now and I wasn't wearing a mask. I went to the deli earlier. There was about 5-6 coworkers that I mingled with. Now, what if I coughed or I sneezed and they're walking up and down the aisles, other customers are walking up down the aisles, getting pot, and I was every single one of them guaranteed to get the virus? No. But let's say 2 people get the virus that day. One of them goes home to his wife and his kids, and he gives it to his wife. And his wife goes to fucking Walgreens to pick up a prescription. And then it's just an ongoing chain reaction. One person could do that. So Cuomo deserves a lot of credit. Trump deserves a lot of credit. Everybody deserves a lot of credit. De Blasio, and I can't stand him. He deserves credit. Everybody deserves credit. The law enforcement, nurses, grocery clerks, cops, firefighters, EMTs, every single person right now that is working. The only person that's pissing me off right now is my postman. That motherfucker has not showed up at my office at all. And I went to the post office a week ago and I said, listen, I haven't gotten any of my mail. I'm forced to stay open. I need to know if any of my customers got important letters or inspections or something. There might be a problem somewhere. And the guy goes in the back. He says, I don't see any mail over here. Now I see photos online of my post office and they got bushels of fucking mail just sitting in the corners. You think this guy fucking went through the bushels? Hey, you think they didn't even fucking look. I haven't gotten mail in 2 weeks and I'm working every day. So I feel bad for the post office because, my postman at my house is here every day. And he delivers me Amazon stuff and I give him very, very nice tips. Believe it or not, I actually did something here. Maybe I'll take a picture tomorrow if you want to see it. I live in a condo complex. And you've seen, video outside my house with the squirrels or when they did the deli man. I told my maintenance guy 2 weeks ago, I said, how come the board has not put like a hand sanitizer in the hallway of every building? You walk in, you walk out, there's a hand sanitizer. Well, they're worried that somebody will just steal it. So I actually took one of my hand sanitizer, pumps things, and I got command tape, and I mounted it right outside my door in the hallway, and I put a sign, and it reminds me of Finn Balor every time I see it. It says, for everyone, and then I wrote, sorry, I only had one because I have 2 floors where I live. But I put a whole unit of hand sanitizer outside in the hallway, so everybody, the postman, my neighbors, everybody has a little hand sanitizer, and luckily so far, I've checked the level on it, and the level is still high. So at least I know they're not taking their own bottle and filling up their own. The idea is, one squirt, wipe your hands, and that's it. So, but anyway, I think we're pretty much done, everybody. I actually went over 2 hours, which I really didn't want to do, only because I know YouTube does like a whole lot of extra processing when you go over 2 hours. But we had a fun show tonight, had a nice conversation. We talked about SmackDown, talked about the Revival, talked about the AEW NXT ratings, talked about Edge, talked about Hogan and his dopey comments, talked about Ronda Rousey, talked about coronavirus, talked about AEW, WWE, that special with Triple H in 2 weeks. I don't mind seeing that. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I'll be the opposite of Edge. I'll enjoy anything that they want to fill, but if it's, something not to my liking, I think I have the right to criticize it, So Carmelo with the Solomonster story. You already know this story, my brother. You just want to start shit. All right, I'll tell everybody. On Wednesday, I was shouting out some people. Somebody made a joke trying to start a feud with me and Jason Solomonster. because this week is the 1-year anniversary that we all got together at Lucky 13 in Brooklyn. It was myself, this photo again, myself, John Draper, Missionary, and Joey Numbers of Wrestling Soup. We hung out with a lot of you, and Jason Solomonster stopped by and as well, and we had a fun conversation online, and we were like, why do we hate each other again? And for some reason on his Facebook page, I'm hated. I am hated to a T. And people like to put up shit on that page just to segue into hating me. Like the thread that I always laugh at, and it's always the same people, and they'll wait every couple of months and they'll write, what other wrestling podcast do you all tune into? And that's all done by design, because eventually halfway through the thread, somebody will write, I used to like DT, but he's a racist motherfucker. And that's just to open the floodgates to shit on me and this and that, whatever. So I'm hated on his board, and a lot of people think that he and I feud, that he and I don't like each other, that he and I have problems. And how it all started was, it has to be about 6 years ago, I'd say. And 6 years ago, I will admit, I didn't know much about Jason. I don't think he knew much about me either. I always concentrated on my own thing. And, that's one thing I love about doing the video stuff now. I have opened up to a lot of podcasts that I never really spent time looking at before. OK Fabe is one. I really have a newfound, appreciation for JD from New York. Joe Cronin, there's a bunch of them out there that do video, and I envy their hard work as well. And but 5-6 years ago, I just focused on my own stuff, and I sometimes fell for the bait when some people were just trying to start wars between shows. And what had happened was somebody had asked who is, as far as like legendary, who is bigger, the Shield or the Fabulous Freebirds? And somebody asked me, like, what are my thoughts on a podcast saying that the Shield are much bigger and more successful than the Fabulous Freebirds ever were? And thank you, by the way. Thank you for the kind words. This is an 80s shirt. I just wore something goofy because we broke 9,000. I promised a few people. People were not bothering me this week, but they're like, are you wearing anything? I was like, all right, I'll have some fun. Why not? So anyway, somebody asked me, what do I think about a podcaster claiming that the Shield are bigger, more successful than the Fabulous Freebirds ever were? And I went on it might have been Breakfast with Blassie, and I said, whoever said that is an absolute moron. And I started bringing up the history of the Fabulous Freebirds, selling out the Sportatorium, feuding with the Von Erichs, the infamous cage match. I just go down the line of what the Fabulous Freebirds did. And keep in mind, I know a lot of you out there right now are huge fans of Moxley. I know a lot of you out there will agree that, Seth Rollins is a star. Maybe not utilized to the best of his ability. Roman Reigns, it's mixed, but we're going back 6 years now. So just think of the Shield 6 years ago. And I said, you can't even compare the two. It's fucking ridiculous. And I started bringing up, what are these shades? I don't know. These shades are, I don't know. They actually are a famous brand. I don't know if they're Oakley's or something. I don't know. I'll let you know next week. But they're prescription, though. But, so I started going down the line of why the Fabulous Freebirds are Hall of Famers and one of the biggest trios of all time and this and that. And next thing I know, like, I'm in the middle of this big, like, war online saying, like, oh, I punked out Jason Solomonster and, TV Tracks I think might have been around at the time. And I'm like, look, it's nothing personal against anyone, but if anybody out there thinks that the Shield is bigger than the Fabulous Freebirds ever was, is ridiculous. It's moronic. And that started a snowball. And, after that happened, I apologized because I realized that people were just trying to bait, a little war. Jason is such a good guy. I mean, sometimes I think he's too nice. But I felt bad after. And, after that, I was very, very careful not to criticize him ever again. And, I value what he says. I know sometimes we have difference of opinions on stuff, but I respect the guy too much to ever call him a goof. Never, and I swear on a stack of Bibles, never ever in years ever even thought that's kind of goofy to say. There's a lot of people I respect that I totally disagree in some of the things that they say. Joey Numbers is one. Mish, we disagree on tons of shit. My God, Sunday we're doing on Patreon Breakfast Soup. And anybody that's ever tuned into Breakfast Soup on Patreon knows Mish and I are on opposite ends of the spectrum in a lot of topics. But that's how it started. And it went on for years and years and years. And all people would write is, Don Tony hates Jason Solomon. Don Tony is jealous of Jason. Don Tony called him a goof and this and that. It was a difference of opinion about who was the bigger faction, the Shield or the Fabulous Freebirds. That's how it started. And, we actually talked a few years ago, and I apologized to him. And then it's still people felt the need. I respect a lot of what Kev says as well. Yeah, Carmelo, absolutely. But getting back to Jason, when we met up last year, if you look at the video, because I'm going to put it on YouTube this weekend. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. I have about an hour and 20 minutes worth of footage that I recorded at Lucky 13 last year. I gave my phone to someone when I went on stage for a little while, but that's my footage. And when Jason showed up, I was playing off of Daniel Bryan. I was going, no, what is he doing here? And it was just all a joke. And when we went outside, first thing we said to each other was, why do we hate each other? Why are we feuding? And we had a good laugh over it. So, but, it was good. So, am I going to see the Vice thing about Dino Bravo? I'm not sure, man. Like I said, the Vice thing, I went on a rant Wednesday about Dark Side of the Ring as far as Brawl for All. I keep saying Brawl for It All. I know there's no it in there, but to me it just sounds smoother. Brawl for It All. Hey, I'm going to brawl for it all. I have to get used to Brawl for All. It just sounds better, Brawl for It All. But Wednesday I went on that rant. I still don't understand why the fuck did they do a special on Brawl for All? Think about that. It wasn't the Dark Side of the Ring. It might have been a dumb decision, but it wasn't dark. Snooker killing Nancy Argentino, that's dark. Another Nancy getting killed by a wrestler, that's dark. Dino Bravo, the mafia stuff, it's dark. But, having, a boxing, it's not dark. So I'm not a fan of Vice, man. They do good work, and they put a lot of effort into it. The New Jack one, like I said, they left a lot of stuff out. Some of the things were way over exaggerated, but I thought it was still, one thing I will say about this series that they do, and I said this last year and I'll say it again here now. If you're a younger fan out there that you weren't a fan when New Jack was around. You weren't a fan even when the Benoit tragedies happened. You weren't a fan, when the whole snooker thing went down. It's better to watch it than to not watch it at all. Because there's been many times I have seen documentaries over the years. John Gotti, for example. I've seen 11 different documentaries on John Gotti. The only one I never saw was Travolta. Because when Travolta came to this neighborhood, I swear to God, I talked about it on my shows when he did. The fucking neighbor was like, The fuck is this guy doing in this neighborhood? The fuck out of here, Travolta. He fucking sucks. Nobody wanted to see him do Gotti. Gotti's family was very professional about it because they got money out of it. But you think they like Travolta being Gotti? No way. But I've seen tons of different documentaries. I'll watch them all. I've seen documentaries about, different things over the years. So everyone is a little bit different. So I would never say to you, don't watch it, but I don't put a lot of credence in a lot of it because, again, it's some of it is sensationalized, some of it is, some of them are not bad, but I'm telling you, Richard, I defended Russo. I've always defended Russo. They made Vince Russo look like the biggest fuck up with Brawl for All. At the end of the day, Vince is the one that made the final decision. Vince was the one that okayed it. And again, Vince McMahon wanted to bring back Brawl for All in like 2008 or 9 when they first started doing the NXT challenges. He wanted to do a version of Brawl for All with the NXT guys. Was Vince Russo part of that? No. So again, it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. They hype up, that people got injured. Like I said on Wednesday, look who got injured. Seriously, come on. Yeah, I know they tried to show tons of sympathy for Bart Gunn. Why don't you go fucking look back and see what Bart Gunn was doing in WWF before Brawl for All? And I said Wednesday, go listen to Shawn Michaels' commentary when Bart Gunn knocked out JBL. Go listen. That fucking Brawl for All was kind of gave Bart Gunn a little bit extra life as being a pro wrestler. The guy never had any personality. He was great. He was, excellent in his smoking guns. But by 1998, Bart Gunn, was almost like a journeyman guy in the WWE. He had no momentum. He had no, winning streak. He wasn't on any great level. And they try to portray it that he was. Look at the shoot interview that Bart Gunn did with our video several years ago. Watch that shoot interview. You tell me if that guy, there should be all this sympathy. I don't dislike Bart Gunn in any way, shape, or form. But people are making it out like, he was banished from pro wrestling. Motherfucker, his career was probably going to be over around that time anyway. Where was he going to go? Seriously, he showed up in TNA and they realized, we really can't do anything with this guy. You think, especially that Vince Russo was around TNA at that time. You don't think they would add a little bit extra, special of a reason to try to see something in Bart Gunn that maybe WWF didn't give him the opportunity for? No, man, no. So, like I said, there's an agenda behind a lot of these shows that Vice does. But again, if you just want to watch something to find something interesting, absolutely. Watch every single one of them. Some of them might be more interesting than others. I would never say don't watch them. But for me, like you said, it's, a lot of them don't do anything for me. The Benoit one, like I said, when I saw people hating on Kevin Sullivan more than hating on Benoit, that was enough for me to be like, nah, the fuck out of here. The ending was good. And Jericho, God bless that guy. God bless that guy for everything that man does. Not even just the AEW stuff. Like I brought it up recently. You see a lot of these GoFundMe pages for people in wrestling, and he never will mention his name, but if you look at the donor list, you usually see his name on there. And he's usually one of the biggest donors on there. Guy does some wonderful stuff. Mr. Krabs saying I should do interviews again? Nah. Because, look, I definitely want to bring Vince Russo on one day soon. Maybe we'll do it here. Absolutely would love to talk to him about politics, about wrestling, about the current state of wrestling. I think we would have a fabulous conversation about Brawl for All because I have that track record. Anybody that goes back to me, 1997 is when I started doing this stuff. I started doing a wrestling hotline in 97. I have a track record since 1998 saying, you know what? I like Brawl for All. It started off slow, but I thought it picked up. It wasn't that fucking bad. Oh, Godfather got hurt. You know, big fucking deal. He came back. He wasn't in the heavyweight title picture. He wasn't feuding with Austin or The Rock or anyone else at that time. He got fucking hurt. It was a mid-carder. Oh, Savio Vega, he was never the same again. The motherfucker wasn't doing anything. You know, it was the Puerto Ricans that he teamed up with were pretty much almost done at that time. You know, a lot of people that got injured, you know, these weren't people that were getting like big time spots on the WWE roster. This was like, you know, like the mid-card competition. Like everybody that's trying to get noticed was in it, and it was optional. So, yeah, look, a while back on Twitter, I said, hey, if I get 500 likes, I'll bring Vince Russo on. I think we got like 480. Me, I always stick to what I say. I said, we didn't get 500. Sorry. And I didn't do it. I'm a member of the brand for years and years and years. I've been a member of the brand since the beginning. I'm a patron of his as well. I support all his stuff. I'm one of the very few people that like Meltzer and Vince Russo. But I would love to have him on. So, yeah, I think we will do something in the near future. I absolutely would love to do it. We'll see. But like I said, I plan on learning, especially with these super chats. I'll start learning on how to, you know, I got to learn to do stuff like that. You see what I just did? Have I set a date for the one challenge? That's little things that I got to start being able to figure out how to do. I got to get this, I got to get more familiar with what I do because, look, I could do this. I could do this. Let's see. I could do this. Let's see if these pop up. I want to see what happens when I pop these up. I want to see if it changes like every few seconds. Oh, yeah. I see. Look. So I have ways of manipulating this stuff so this stuff could actually keep popping up. So I'm going to, like I said, I want to get a little more familiar with the YouTube stuff. You know, I went into this, you know, not understanding a lot of the format, the procedure. I do everything in the background. Even Monday night is even worse because I have to pull all the news, you know, organize it and this and that. At least on Friday over here, you know, it's a little more down to earth. I don't have to use so much preparation, but I have to make it very seamless. But especially with Super Chats, when people send in contributions to what I do, I want it to pop up on the screen like everybody else does. Unfortunately, everyone, and I'm just being honest, not one podcaster that has that stuff set up, not one. Every time I go online and I say, hey, you know, I appreciate if anybody could give me a little help here or a little advice here or this, that. Nobody that has that capability has ever stepped up and say, dude, this is how you do it, or check this article out. This is how. I have to do everything on my own. We all get along and everything, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm not trying to take away viewers from anyone else, and I'm not trying to take away anybody, you know's revenue that they get. But at the end of the day, you know that those people want to get as much as they possibly can. They ain't looking to fucking help me, you know, maximize what I do here. So I have to do it on my own. And I don't mind. Is it worth going on YouTube? John, let me say it like this. If I wasn't doing this over 20 years, maybe I would have stuck with audio only a little bit more, but I needed another challenge. The audio only stuff after that long. And like I said, you know, too many people just took a voice and saw a logo and they thought that they knew the person that they were listening to. Minute I went video after 2 weeks, the number one thing I kept reading over and over again from everybody was, you are nothing than the way I thought that you were from listening to your shows all of these years. You see somebody's face and you see the amount of, you know, work and how I try to make everything perfect with the lighting and the backdrop and the audio quality and the video quality and covering stuff and shouting everybody out. Like, you know, it's the least I can do if you're going to tune in. But the thing is that, this is more personal. I get to have a little, different, part of me. It's not even reinventing myself. It's just a more direct communication. And I'm full video now. I will never go back to audio only. And I was done. I was almost done with the audio only. After 22 years, I felt like I need a new challenge, or that's it. The history show was what I thought was a good challenge for 2 years, but the amount of research was just crazy. That was insane. So this has been crazy too, but I'm loving it. And I love the fact that all of you are tuning in, and I love it right now if you all hit the like button, seriously. That gives me a little extra exposure. But no, look, for anybody that's thinking about doing YouTube, I always feel quality as far as audio quality, video quality. A view cam webcam is next to nothing. You could get a decent webcam for $30 again. So, some people that, their style is audio only, I totally respect that. But, I just, video is just a whole different animal. It's just totally, totally different. You put a live face behind something and you're animated. But, I would start slow, but I would always be straight out and honest. And, I would just take your time. A lot of people think that they could just start a podcast or even go on YouTube and think, oh, I'm going to make money and this is going to be it's not that way. When I bring up that for almost 20 years, every dollar that was spent into the shows was out of my own pocket. That's the truth. Did it because I loved what I do. And, other people do it too. A lot of podcasters out there that don't have big followings right now, give them credit because they are dipping into their own expenses to have everything running. But, unfortunately, Grim, that's not happening. So that's already been resolved. That's not happening. So, what do you mean 14 likes? Sebastian, there's a lot more than 14 likes right now. But I'm having a ball, everybody, and I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. But we're going to call it a night because we've been going about 2.5 hours. It's been real. I'll be back Monday. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to talk about Monday. We'll see what breaks between now and then. One thing I don't like doing is I don't like repeating the same fucking conversations over and over again just because I'm on a different show Monday. But, we'll talk about Raw and we'll talk about anything else that transpires between now and then. Shout out to Anthony Diaz. That's cool, man. Tuning in for 14 years. 14 years. It's amazing how many years have gone by, my brother. It's amazing how many years. I actually, if anybody that's from the Northeast over here, you may have heard of the wrestler Danny DeMonto. I actually did a little bit of work with Danny DeMonto. Very little. But he posted today that I think today was his 20-year anniversary being in wrestling. And it was like, my God, 20 fucking years. That's insane. Chat's been tuning in for 8 years. And that's cool. That's absolutely cool, man. I think it's great. Wrestling is never going to go away. Obviously, it's not what it used to be. I don't think it ever will be what it used to be because it's not just the fact that we'll never have larger-than-life stars like The Rock, Austin, and others. You may get someone once in a while that, will be a megastar, but the culture has changed. Like I said, I brought it up earlier. In the past, you did something that was a little disappointing. I'll do a better job next time around. I'll do my best. Or if you were a heel, you kept your fucking mouth shut. Now, let's just rip the fans. Oh, you don't like the women getting pushed? You're a sexist. Oh, you're in a fucking pandemic and you're ripping the length of a match? That's what it is. It's putting it on the fans now. You see wrestlers that will call people out, claiming that they're this, instead of just ignoring the trolls. And that's a shame. It's a shame. But, enjoy the rest of the week and enjoy Raw. I'll be back next Friday. Mish and I may be doing the one chip challenge next Friday. Let's see what transpires between now and next Friday. I got it right here. It's just sitting here ready to go, man. I'm ready. You know, I'm a little afraid of what's going to happen, but I will tell you that during the week, I will work on a little bit more to get your questions, some of your chats to pop up on the screen automatically without me doing anything. And even with some of your super chat contributions, I want those son of a bitches to pop up on the screen. And like I said, unfortunately, nobody is showing me how to do it, so I got to learn on my own. I did a test run with a couple earlier today, and but it's got to be more seamless so I don't have to hit many buttons while I do it. So, but yeah. Oh yeah, no milk or ice cream for 5 minutes after I eat the chip. I'll probably have almond milk on hand. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a gallbladder anymore, and I had that diverticulitis surgery a year ago. It's about a little more than a year ago. So I tried to look online to see how people dealt with having this chip challenge with a piece of their intestine gone or having no gallbladder. And I really can't find anybody. And you know why I probably can't find anybody? Because they're smarter than me. They're like, I wouldn't fucking dare do it. But I figured a lot of you out there would want to see me sweating, crying, choking. I can't wait. So maybe next Friday. No, Benjamin, look, when I hype something up, you know me, I got to go through with it. I never blow smoke up anybody's ass. And there's a lot of people that want to see it. So, I'll do it. We'll get it over with. If it's not as bad as what I think it's going to be, then we go to the Death Nut. Then we go to the ramen noodles. Then we go to all the other ones. And we'll just keep doing challenges. And I'm going to order that cat shit coffee. I forget what it's called, but yeah, I am going to order that. That like $50 for 1 cup of coffee that is shit out by cats. I am going to order that. I'm going to brew it and I'll drink it on the show and we'll see. I can't explain why other podcasters don't like AEW. My only take is that if you don't like something, get it out of your fucking mouth. Do you hear me talking about the Kardashians on here? Do you hear me week after week talking about the fucking Bellas? Do you hear me week in and week out talking about Total Divas? Do you hear me week in and week out talking about fucking, something on TV? Do you hear me week in and week out talking about fucking Tiger King? If I don't like that stuff, I don't pay attention to it. I don't understand podcasters and websites that rip AEW. They just want to be in on the conversation. Just take wrestling, change it to music. Pretend AEW is dubstep. If I don't like dubstep, why the fuck am I going to talk about... And I do a music podcast, okay? I do a music podcast. If I don't like dubstep, why am I going to talk about dubstep every single week? I'm going to talk about the things that I like. So the people out there that talk about AEW, that can't stand it, they want to be noticed and they want to be part of a conversation. That's why everybody's a fucking comedian on Twitter. All these one-liners, all these jokes. And again, it's sad to say it, but you see it. Joke, 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 joke. And when it's played out, oh, we're all wrestling fans at the end of the day and we want to see everything succeed. There's medication for stuff like that, people. So, what was cool? I didn't have to use this tonight. I'm returning it, by the way, because some people on Wednesday said that it makes noise. I don't know if you could actually hear it. So I just put it on right now. Yeah, maybe you can. Yeah, you see, this is what I was worried about the other day. If I put it on blast, look at my fucking hair. Let me see if my... That feels good. See, I don't know. But did I hear what Jared said? No, what did you say, Jared? Ask quick before I go because it's time for me to say bye. So Let me see what he had to say. Did DT, did you hear what I said? What did you say? I don't see anything on here. But look, obviously a lot of people don't like AEW because it only gets about 800,000, 700,000 viewers. All right. Coronavirus, a little different. Not every talent is there. Nyla Rose has disappeared because she's afraid to leave the house, and I don't blame her. Okay, Jared says, ask me to join Club Movie Fans Worldwide 2.0. Join the club. Send me the link. Send me on Twitter, at Don Tony D. Like I said, anybody out there that has YouTube channels as well, just send me a PM on Twitter, at Don Tony D, with your channel link. And in fact, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to put the show online. I'm going to put an audio version for anybody that just downloads audio only. Then I'm going to go on Twitter for about a half an hour, and then I'm going to pass out because it is 12:45 in the morning over here right now. If you don't have Twitter, email me, dontony@dontony.com. Wow, I'm surprised people like this shirt so much. Yeah, it's not a button-down shirt. It only goes down to here. But, you know, when we used to wear stuff like this, we used to have it like this. But the only difference is I would have the crazy hairy chest at the time. That's one thing that's changed. Let me see if I could pull up one of my infamous hairy chest photos. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is, just picture me wearing this shirt and picture me with this chest hair now. I'll make it even better. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's so bad. That's like chest hair growing chest hair. My God, look at that. Jerry the King Lawler haircut, Jerry the King Lawler goatee, and I don't know what fucking, Jerry the King Lawler chest hair. That's bad, man. But yeah, we used to, you know. So I have tons of 80s and 90s clothes because I have boxes stored away for ages, and I didn't throw them out. Maybe you want to call me a little bit of a pack rat? Yeah, I guess you could call it that. But, you know, I don't wax it. It's just a lot of it is gray now. So I actually shave it a little bit. That's why this part was red before. I shaved a little bit before. So the wheel in the background, I really can't lift it up, but maybe I can. Going to be doing contests in the near future. I could actually write on this, and we're going to maybe give away some prizes. But basically, if I could do it here, we write like what the prizes are, or maybe, you know, maybe it'll be topics of what to talk about, or maybe, you know, we'll just like shit on somebody and we'll make a whole list, and then you just do this. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah, that's what that's all about. So I actually want to get, you know, like the spinning thing where you like pull out like the balls and stuff like that. I have tons of autographed cards, and I'm going to get one of those spinning things, and maybe we'll give away like some autographed cards. And what I'll do is I'll spin it. Whatever card comes out, you could either win it, or maybe you can trade it in for maybe something on the wheel. Maybe I'll do something like that. Right now, we're in the middle of April. I guarantee you next month, I'm going to start doing that full blown. That's my thing. I want to do something a little different, but my thinking is you do the card giveaway, and someone could either take the card or they could trade it in, and maybe on that wheel we'll have like one or two like of the cheese, you know, the triangles be like a big prize, and the rest of them will be like almost nothing. So, and then we could laugh at people when they traded in like a $250 AJ Lee signed card for like $5 or something like that. So just keep in mind though that I don't have crazy money out there, but I have lots of like cards and stuff. So, you know, giving it away is stuff I already have. I have tons. You have no idea. And I also got to start taking out some of my retro newspaper collection. I have hundreds of newspapers. I got, you know, tons of crazy shit I could start whipping out and showing everybody. So we'll do that in the near future as well. I actually have a box in front of me of like very, very old, I don't know if they're Time magazines. I'll actually show you right now. I got this from somebody gave it to me for free. Just because Life magazines. All right, yeah. I'll take this out. You'll get a kick out of this. Here. All right. One of my... Oh, shit. Oh. Hang on, everybody. My light went out. All right. What the fuck happened here? Here we go. There we go. The light went out. One of my customers, I was having a conversation with him, and I was telling him that I had like an old newspaper collection. And he said to me, he goes, really? He says, I got something I think you might be interested in. So I went over his house, and he gives me this big container. And Life magazine, 1969, Leaving for the Moon. Let's see. Let me see if any... I haven't looked at these at all. Here. This is July 4th, 1969, Life magazine. Let me see if there's any good ones here. Let's see. Because like I said, this is 1963. It's full Life magazines. This is when they first went on the moon. Let's see. I don't know if there's any good ones over here. This is about Russia. These are from, this is, oh yeah, look at the bottom of this. It's 1943. It's the full magazine. The back is Lucky Strikes. This is the full deal. Let me see if there's anything good in here. So they're like perfect condition magazines. See, look, Campbell's Soup. Shoes. Actually, pretty good looking shoes. Let's see if there's any others. Yeah, this one looks cool. Alfred Hitchcock. This is from February 1963. I'll see if there's any more. And the guy just gave them to me. I think that's pretty much it. The rest of them... Oh, actually, there is a couple more. Hold on. Let's see. I'll see if any of these names are familiar. If they're not... This is from 1945. For all you people, I think, overseas, Princess Elizabeth, 1943. These were 10 cents at the time. Oh, here's one. 1940, the Navy. Life magazine. No, they're not Playboys. I don't have any old Playboys. I have no old Playboys, but... So, yeah, one of my customers gave me those. So, but I'll tell you a funny thing about Playboy before we go, and then I'm going to leave right now. I don't know if you guys remember the Playboy magazine, or was it? No, it wasn't Playboy. It was Penthouse. Vanessa Williams was on the cover. In fact, this is the first nudie magazine that I ever saw. I've told the story about when my father used to work 3 jobs, that my father would come home around 7 o'clock. He would eat his squash or whatever it is, go upstairs to sleep, and then he'd go out to work. So some days in the afternoon, my father was working and my mother might be at the store. Sometimes I would sneak upstairs in their bedroom, and they had an illegal cable box. So I would get to watch like nudie movies, but you never saw any penetration. That's what the cable was like at that time. This was before we had Spice or anything like that. A lot of people don't know, but back in the 80s, when you watched like nudie films on cable, it was always soft porn. You never got to see any penetration at all. So what happened was Vanessa Williams appeared nude for Penthouse. And I think George Burns was on the cover, and the cover said like, "Oh God, she's nude," or something like that. And I think it's the same magazine that Madonna was in. It was either that one or another one at around the same time period, but Madonna was nude in a magazine. And this goes back to when I think she first was performing in New York City before she made it famous. All I remember is them being black and whites and her having hair in her armpits. But I went into my father's dresser trying to see if I could find any money, you know, nothing crazy, but like $1, $5 here and there. I'm a kid. I went into his dresser trying to find money, and instead I find these magazines shoved underneath his fucking Hanes underwears. So, yeah, I still have an original Tracy Lords film, but the ones I had when she was 16, I got rid of them. Because once we found out she was 16 years old, I said, no, I'm not going to be accused of having any underage porn. Tracy Lords was our favorite when we were teenagers because we were almost the same age as her. We were a little bit younger than her. And, you know, that she was crazy, man. Tracy Lords was crazy. So, but... I never bought the Shawn Michaels Playgirl, but if you go This Week in Wrestling History, I actually posted photos of the article, the interview he did. And I actually read some of the interview on the History Show. So his was, you know, his interview was pretty funny. In fact, if you all want a good laugh, do a Google search because you'll find it. Google Shawn Michaels Playgirl interview and just read the interview. It's fucking funny because the woman that interviews him, she's asking him like, what do you like in a woman or blah, 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 blah. And it's pretty fucking funny. So go check it out. But yeah, so that's what happened. Vanessa Williams posed nude and Madonna posed nude. And that was my first experience with any nude magazine. I don't think my father to this day ever had any clue that I actually found those nudie magazines in his drawer. So, yeah, memories. But all right, I'm out of here. Everyone enjoy the rest of the weekend. Much love. For everybody that celebrates, happy Easter, obviously. Unfortunately, I will be home Easter. My mom does not feel comfortable yet to have us around. I don't blame her. She's petrified. She knows that if she gets hit with this, it's a death sentence. She's got so many health issues, and she's got that fucking fake valve in her from the heart surgery. So I told you, and I wasn't kidding when I said it. If my mom ever got hit with coronavirus and I had interacted with her, and I would, you know, obviously I would be able to get tested later to see if I had ever had the virus. But if I thought that I was the one that gave it to her, I don't know how I would be able to live with that. So, you know, we FaceTimed the other day, and it was cute. I mean, you all seen the bird I have, but it was cute because she put the phone to the bird, and he saw me, and I was like saying certain things, and you know, he's bobbing his head and whistling, and you know, he was having a fun time with it. So it was really cool. So. Yeah, bye. So everyone, have a great weekend, and I will be back Monday with the DTKC show. Don't forget, next Wednesday we'll do Wednesday Night Dynamite. Maybe I'll predict the ratings win once again. We'll see. And I think that's it. But next Friday, I'll definitely be back. We'll see about the One Chip Challenge. I'm not making any promises, but we'll have an awesome show as always. So much love, everybody. Thank you. And I'll talk to you all soon. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.